Welcome. Oh shit, mics are on, but I welcomed this wrong. Mics are live. We are live. Welcome to Ultra Podcast Z, episode 105. Isn't that insane?
Wow.
Like
It's too many. We gotta end it.
I know.
Should be over by now.
I feel like we missed a good opportunity to end it at 100. Like when we did the furry one, we should have been like, it's been a good run, but it's the end of Ultra Podcast Z. But then we just kept going for some stupid reason.
Should have been the finale.
I know.
I mean, the
Can't get any
true
better
Day
than that.
Today thing would have been to have your final episode be something so controversial that everyone hates you, and then you just never do it. You just never post again.
There was this magazine. There was this. I don't know how like hard old school anime fan you are, but there was a magazine called Animerica that stopped being
I remember
published.
supporters.
And in their very last issue, they put up all the artwork that they couldn't show because, like, you know, they were afraid. And I don't remember them all. Well, I'll never forget. One of them was Hitler Pikachu, and then in the caption for Hitler Pikachu, it's all like we actually have a lot of other Hitler Pikachu's, and then there was a little cutout of all these other Hitler Pikachu's that they had that they decided they were gonna post the last day, the last issue of their magazine, But yeah, they had done that. They released a ton of other ones. To be honest, there were other ones that were even probably crazy or as crazy. But I'll never forget that apparently dozens of people sent Hitler Pikachu's to Animerica as part of their fan art thing that they would show weekly.
Sounds about right.
Why?
Yeah, and they also published letters that had been holding back on. Like I don't remember I have the issue
I
somewhere.
just love the fact that they clearly had an office attitude, like, well, we can't publish this, but we love this.
Yeah.
Like, they kept it. They
They
pinned it up
kept
on the
it.
wall, probably.
And I was
They
gonna say-
didn't just trash it or something.
I was about to say that too. Like, yeah, they had it lying around. They're waiting. They were waiting for that last issue. But yeah, as always, I am Manuel, leader of AJ Connections. Apparently, I don't keep things. I delete everything, which is the conversation we were having before we started, and that's why A to J archive thingies are not around. Go figure. And I guess filling in for Konaru, I guess it's Callie. It's Calliaru.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Callie. You gotta do like the Daisy thing.
I don't know what that is.
Have you never played Mario Kart?
Oh, like.
I mean, I've played a lot of Mario Karts, but I don't know this exact line you're talking about.
It's like the one thing she says. She says it when you pick her. She says it whenever like.
Oh, I play
you
with
get her.
audio off.
She's always like, "Hi, I'm Daisy." You know what I'm talking about, Tiffany? That's all she ever says. Like, "Hi, I'm Daisy." But anyway,
I mean, I know, but I also never play Daisy.
well, to be fair, Daisy is
I
one of my
only play
favorites.
Daisy.
Wait, are you serious? Are you dead
I
serious?
told you I played with the audio off.
Oh my god, I love that Daisy is your main, but you still don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But yeah,
I play rhythm games with the audio off sometimes. Like,
that doesn't make
Wow.
any sense,
Well,
Callie.
that makes
How does that make
kind
any
of
sense?
Some people, they just play it because they're like, oh, I gotta do the event, and then they stop playing with audio on, and they just play it.
Oh my
well, because I listen to podcasts, so sometimes I've literally had it where I had these earphones on and headphones plugged in, and one is playing a podcast and the other is playing the game music. So if it's not a rhythm game, I really don't care about the audio, and I'm just listening to a podcast.
Oh my god. Anyways, Daisy says, "Hi, I'm Daisy," whenever you pick her, and that's the way you should say, "Hi, I'm Callie." It was a joke. It fell flat. We had to explain it 8
Sorry.
times. Tiffany, it's Tiffany.
We're
It's
all for
Tiffany.
boomers.
It's Tiffany back again.
It's Tiffany.
Yeah, it's me.
To Tiffany,
Yep.
Tiffany's that rare appearance. You know, within A to J in general, like A to J is a little. I don't know if I should tell everyone this. It's kind of a secret within A to J right now, but like A to J is not really functioning at all, except for like the streams. Now you might be like, Manuel. I've seen the Twitter, I've seen the Facebook page. There are posts still being made. Twitter not so much because the person didn't have the password. You want to know the secret to that? I have I should say this. Um, in my actual day job, which is also on a hiatus because everything is in this world, I've been giving them all the A to J stuff to post so that they still have a job. So we actually have a crazy third party has no idea what the fuck they're anything about what they're talking about, and they're doing all the A to J posting. I'm not making any of this up.
What are you talking about? You're so weird.
That no one A to J is being run. Only the streams by myself and whoever's involved with them, but the actual site is being run by somebody who's not even A to J. We outsource the site basically. Well, I outsource the site. I just thought
That's surprising.
I don't know if I should have told everyone that's a weird dark secret about how A to J is being run right now. But there you go. I don't think anyone's watching yet. Actually, there are people watching. Oops.
I don't think there's actually that many people watching.
Well,
I'm one of the people watching.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, according to the actual users in chat, no one is watching.
Oh.
Let's go ahead and let's put a CCP and I think we can put Illuminati. I think Illuminati is the hot chip.
What does that mean?
It's the Illuminati hot chip, and there's 5 hot chips. Oh, CCP.
What does hot chip mean?
I think it's a reference to the eat hot chip and lime meme, right?
Yeah, but then we have the Illuminati hot chip because we always talk about conspiracy theories. Well, we did when they were still fun.
The funny thing is that I am a part of this inside joke, and I still don't understand it.
I don't get it. I'm not part of the inside joke. So
it's something Manuel made. It's an event that happened, and then Manuel made up a whole thing in his head.
I know, and then
Am I wrong?
You're not wrong. The second tier of the subs, which nobody has joined yet, by the way. I don't even. But the second tier of sub, you get the weeb lizard person, and that one is totally Callie based, because Callie lost her shit. Huh? Callie lost her shit.
I lose my shit frequently.
That one was the best though, because you were losing your shit so much, your audio was dropping. And I'm pretty sure that was just because you were yelling so much it peaked over the top, so it just cut you off, like noise suppression or something. You know what I mean? You probably hit the noise suppression so high that it just don't know what the fuck that is.
I always forget how sensitive my mic is, so I lean into it, and it just gets so blown out.
It was the best. It was the best part though. Everyone. I'll have a link to that one. I actually have a clip. I have a clip somewhere. It's a private clip, not private, but it's an unlisted clip. I mean to say, I'll have a link to that clip in the description if you want to just watch that clip. But anyways, we're live. Chat's live. No one's in the chat. No one's watching. Who the fuck cares? So we're gonna just chat a bit. It's probably for the best because part of me. What we're gonna talk about tonight is some overseas idols things. Mainly just a general overview and whatnot, but part of me was worried that that it might get attacked live. I could give a rat's ass they attack it when it's already out on YouTube or whatever, but I just didn't want to get it picked apart as we're talking.
Sure, I guess.
Don't you agree? I just don't want to.
I prefer people to pick it apart live because I can respond.
Yeah, Callie will never see the comments, and it'll just be. I'm like, "Hi, this is Callie."
I will never see the YouTube comments.
But yeah, so. I reply as you, and it'll be best. But I don't think there's any updates to talk about. I already mentioned my updates on what's new with Tiffany. Let's mention Tiffany before we actually jump into everything. What's new with Tiffany? What have you been doing besides being quarantined?
Anything. I got a ring fit.
Oh, you did?
That's it. Yeah, I finally got my hand on one, and I'm always sore. That's all I've been doing.
That is a really productive thing to do. I got an elliptical and have used it very little.
Oh my god, elliptical! I wish I had one.
Wait, are you talking about the Switch game? The
ring fit?
Yeah.
Yeah. The one with it's like a ring, and then you push it and you pull it.
It's funny because I had one of those on hold. I had ordered one when it was out of stock, before the prices were stupid, when it was just out of stock on Amazon, and they never canceled it. So it had been sitting there for maybe legitimately about 6 months, And then, like, out of nowhere, they fulfill the order, and I'm like, oh shit, it's still on its way. It actually should be coming today. It's probably out there right now, just like baking in the sun.
Really?
But yeah.
Wait, you got a Ring Fit? Are you gonna play it, or are you just gonna have it?
I'm not gonna lie. At the time, I planned on reselling it, and I'm sure I missed that window, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I had no intention of actually using it, or like, I mean, I probably should, but I had no intention of actually using it.
Yeah, I don't think Manuel. I can't imagine him like exercising other than walking to like food or like walking to somewhere.
Alcohol.
For alcohol. Oh yeah, like I don't imagine you like jogging as I gotta. No.
I had every intention of reselling it when the things were big, which is why I'm mentioning that. Like, it shocked the fuck out of me because I kept thinking it was gonna restock, and I was gonna be one of those people who just like snuck in, because supposedly they were restocking during it all. You know what I mean? Like they were like, oh, we're still making them. That's what Nintendo said. We're still making them. Just be patient. And then the prices were dropping as if new ones were coming out. Maybe people weren't buying them anymore, but the prices were dropping. So like, oh, they are releasing them. Maybe I'll get one eventually. And then when I get one, I go back and look, and the price is normal now. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure if you go to Amazon right now, it's just normal retail price. You can just buy it for whatever it costs. So yeah, I was like,
because it's up for pre-order now, so people aren't gonna. Unless they like want it now. Well, in that case, there's other sellers that are selling it for retail price.
So somebody give me $120 for it, and or $250, whatever, when at its height, and you can have it. Because I mean,
God, no. Just use it, Manuel. Maybe it'll be good for you.
I mean, like, if I want to work out, I'm gonna work out like more properly. I'm not gonna like fucking. I don't actually have a proper TV setup anyway.
Oh.
So I couldn't do it even if I wanted to, for the record.
It really works you out. Like, people thought that it was gonna be a game, like, oh, it's just gonna be easy. But there's like all these different pictures of people being like ripped after using it.
Well, like, Tipu has
I thought for sure that the ring was gonna break immediately.
Yeah, it looks like it's gonna break, but it's really sturdy. Like, you can push it, and it's totally fine. Everything, push, pull, because you gotta like. With your arms, you even like put it between your legs and you push it, and it's still okay. So,
do you have
pretty sturdy.
No, God, no.
But anyway, that was my. I am
considering getting some sort of like connection for my elliptical to VR.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, that's our Ring Fit adventures. Everyone, go log on to twitch.tv/A2J plays Ring Fit's adventures and watch it. No, please don't. But no, Tipu has one, and he got one long. I would say watch.
Oh yeah, Tipu. Is Tipu ripped?
I know. Well, Tipu's always like, he could probably stand to like probably gain a few pounds, I think. But I mean,
you get the muscle.
I guess that is true. He can like transform into muscle, but yeah. He said it was a major workout himself too, but
yeah.
He has a pretty nice place you could use it too, because he has like a nice open area, and it's and he if he clears his table, he has like an IKEA space basically, with all like 10, 15 feet in front of the TV that's just bare. But I don't know. Anyway, fun fact: I did the Maid episode, the one that we had 5.1 people on. I did that, and Callie was on that one. I did that one from Tipu's house. There was a reason. I don't know why exactly, but yeah. Anyway. So we're talking overseas idols nonsense today, and a lot of stuff. I didn't copy the fucking outline because I'm a smart ass and I didn't do shit. Hold on a second, guys. Well, we're gonna talk about. I'm doing this all. Actually, fuck it. I'm not even gonna say what we're talking about because we're probably gonna go a little off script, I'm sure. Especially once we really get to talking, because I think there's a lot of hot. Even though Tiffany said that she probably doesn't have many hot takes, I think she'll find some hot takes once we actually get started.
I don't have any hot takes, but I just don't. I'm not like deeply involved enough to be like, here's my hot take, and it matters. You know what I mean?
Now, I will mention. Well, I did copy it. I'm a dumbass. I will mention that there was a bit of a thing last week that, funny enough, I don't think that. Did we have this idea before or after that? I think we actually had this idea before that anyway.
I brought something about Overseas Idol up to you.
Yeah.
And then you were like, "Oh, we're doing a podcast about Overseas Idols."
Yeah.
And I don't know which first. I'm assuming.
I'm actually 90% sure that it was a coincidence that the other thing. I don't want to name names at all during this whole entire discussion, for the record. But I'm 90% sure that the timeline was just crazy, happened to be all at once. And what I mean all at once was literally me wanting to do a podcast about Overseas Idols because we had mentioned it in previous episodes. For those that don't know, I used to co-host the Overseas Idol. What the fuck was it called? The Overseas Idol Community Collection. I mean, podcast, which is called the Offshore Podcast.
I did not know this.
Yeah, that lasted about 3 episodes, and then like a lot of things that I'll mention later on. And similar to what I was talking about, us having 105 episodes of Ultra Podcast Z, momentum is key, continuing is key, and there isn't a lot of that, I feel, in certain communities, which we'll discuss later. But it only lasted 3 episodes. Tiffany was on one of them. I don't know if you remember that. Tiffany was on one of them, and and Callie was not. But now Callie is involved with Overseas Idol stuff. And yeah, I just found this. It's all happened at once, and then the whole thing blew up in the middle. So technically, this is not about that, but also it's the lion in the room. It's the elephant in the room, so it might come up here and there, but without any names and without any specifics. So let's talk about something really simple for starters. What is an Overseas Idol?
You say that's simple.
Yeah, because it literally sets up all of this. It literally is the crux of like all the other arguments in one. Like the game.
Yeah, that's why it's not so simple.
It's
right?
like, well, I mean, the simple definition is just idols that are overseas. But then there comes the definition.
Actually,
yes.
My friend asked me, is it not in Japan or not in Asia?
That's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I think what we define as overseas idols and what the general public defines as like overseas idols is different, right? Like us talking about overseas idols, we're talking about more people that are not, they don't have official management running them usually from Japan. So it's like a different scene altogether. But in general, if it's just overseas idols, I think it's just out of Japan. So then like anyone like the Manila group would count, like you know, any of the Taipei ones would like count and stuff. But for what we're talking about, I think it's mostly, well, I don't know. I don't think it's not really aware. It's more like how they define themselves.
I will say this, like Konaru. By the way, the people I am willing to name are the people who are like our hosts or whatever of Ultra Podcast Z. So that's the only reason I'm naming Konaru there. Has stated that like she feels that the other groups that are not Japan are still overseas idols. Like, you know, she'll refer to like, you know, a similar term for like, you know, there's a lot of them like, you know, within China. Like I talked about them a bit, you know, like a lot of the Bilibili stars and so on. But then again, it's almost hard to compare those two because it's much more of a quote unquote like legitimate scene. So it I don't know how else to put it. And like
I feel like the way, I mean, maybe we also have to define net idol, but I feel like it is also like,
well, the problem with net idol is that net idols can exist in Japan as well.
Right. Well, yes.
Which is funny because, okay, for those that I'm not 100% sure, but I had never heard the term overseas idol. There actually is a term, the Kaigai idol, which is like the Japanese term, which means the exact same thing. But I'd never heard anyone translate it before. Huh?
That's the debate, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, a big part of the debate is people. So a lot of people, some people, I don't know, people, are upset that like we co-opt terms that we took originally from Japan and then give them different definitions, which I think is an interesting discussion to have.
That's a discussion to have about the entire like weeb fandom culture period, because
True.
the obvious elephant in the room there is otaku, where no matter what you want to say, it is not the the catch-all term for like nerd as like as it kind of is. I mean, sure, there's like it's not quite as like.
I feel like the definitions are pretty close, though.
Would you say so, Tiffany? Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah, when someone asks me what otaku means, I just say it's pretty much the same context as nerd, because otaku can be. It doesn't have to be like a specific.
Oh, of course.
People think it's only
there's
anime
there's
or whatever.
The gun otaku, and there's like the train otaku, and so on.
Yeah, it's basically someone that's really into something that's considered like niche or lame or whatever. So that's what we say, like nerdy here, and in Japan they say it's like otaku. You're an otaku. So I think it's pretty similar.
But the one of the bigger differences. Sorry, there's like.
Manuel.
Oh.
I've heard people in this.
There was
exact
a string in my mouth. Sorry, there was a string in my mouth with my fucking mask. Anyways.
Okay.
Are they snorting cocaine or something?
Yeah, I'm like, I was like pulling a string out of my mouth, and I'm like, why is it stuck? And I realized it was still stuck to the mask, and eventually it broke. Anyway. Were you saying, Callie? Sorry.
It's fine. I don't have the words to actually articulate it.
Well, what I was going to say real fast about the otaku.
Anyways.
What I was going to say about the otaku thing real fast is that it also has mad negative connotations that you would never see here. If you remember, it wasn't on that, but Rachel's DTL, she had a little segment which talked about the otaku murderer, and what's funny is I was talking to a friend of mine about it, somebody who like lives in Japan, and she asked me which one, and then I didn't realize there were several. I thought it was just the one. It was like. I'm not even going to talk about what the crimes are, just saying go look them up. But my point is, you don't have those kind of negativity, those kind of negative, aspects to it as well here. I don't know. But then again, like, I guess Tiffany would be the better voice of it here.
Because, like, anime, if they know that an otaku is, like, an anime fan, then there is a lot of connotations of, like, child porn. And stuff like that.
And that's the other thing. Like,
I had to deal with those connotations in as a middle schooler.
I mean,
like the equivalent here, by like otaku, or you're saying like nerds. Which one are you talking about?
The way we use
otaku.
Yeah, the way we use otaku
okay.
here. Yeah, the way we use otaku here.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's because it's not our language, so
exactly.
we gave it its own.
Exactly. But then again, my point to bringing that up, more honestly, I don't think we should argue about otaku's definition, but I think we can all agree.
Yeah, I mean,
the big agreement here, I think Tiffany just said it accidentally, is that it is true that I think that everything that we take in words and then like make the definitions our own and co-opt them in odd ways that aren't exact. But then again,
fair enough. I mean, it's not like that doesn't happen in every single country with every other language.
I mean, it happens a million times in Japan with like English words, so that's not, exactly. So, but anyway, the term is so weirdly catch-all, and depending on who you talk to, also very exclusive. Because specifically, I was going to say earlier, the person who kind of like more or less will consider that they coined it themselves, and I will admit, I was never really in the scene before, but I had never really heard that term used before. Everyone used to use net idol when I was like, I remember when I first met Heidi, she was using the term net idol, and I don't know what Tiffany ever called herself, if she even called herself an idol, but yeah.
I'll call myself an idol.
You just never called yourself that. But Heidi used to call herself a net idol. And even when she was on the podcast, like A to J Talks in the early days, she's like, "Hi, I'm Heidi. I do net idol stuff." She would say that was like her introduction.
Mm-hmm.
And then this term kind of came out, the overseas idol term, so which I don't know if we should attribute that to the person who claims that they made it up, but it did. That's kind of feel like they did. But so I've always been weirdly partial to when people make up terms, but what I mean by that is, if you kind of coin a term, I feel like they should make the definition of it. Do you get what I mean?
The guy that wrote GIF first
GIF?
said GIF.
Yes.
That was exactly the first thing that came to my mind.
For the record, I say GIF.
That's
I say
the
GIF.
first thing that came to my mind too. That's so
a lot
funny.
of people will not say GIF, so.
But I say GIF, and we've had many. Oh, those aren't that. We've actually had arguments at cons, after cons, shit like that. That's actually a pretty funny thing. But yeah, I don't know. But then again, I'm not trying to say that like anyone should. The term's confusing.
The term is almost too broad to be useful.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, ideally, it just means somebody doing idle activities that's not in Japan. But I also feel that
it's only useful for people who live in Japan.
Yeah.
Because it's
true.
like, oh, there's not that many.
But I also,
or like they don't think about it. So, but like here, it's like the default. So it almost doesn't make sense to be a category that you.
But that said, I also feel that there's an underlying tone that implies a DIY aspect to it as well. That isn't. I don't know. Am I the one who feels that? But like,
Yeah.
I think that's. I mean, I feel like that's just how it. I mean, well, because you're not going to be managed by a company,
exactly.
so inherently, it will be DIY.
Because you never hear anyone that with like a proper management be like, we are overseas idol
Actually,
group.
to be fair, there is one.
What?
Seishun Youth Academy.
Oh,
Really? Really?
We have stories about Seishun Youth Academy, and there's stuff that some tea we could spill there, but
I feel like they don't associate with the community as a whole. Like,
Exactly.
I don't think I've personally seen
Yeah,
them be like,
exactly.
oh, we're friends, we're all the same, you know?
like that's what I'm saying. Like they're an odd ship amongst themselves because like it's kind of like because they don't associate with the rest of the overseas idol community really, but yet
Right, but by
Due
the
to the
definition,
fact-
they would still
but
be
due to the fact that they're
overseas
foreign,
idols.
yeah, but due to the fact they're foreign, they also aren't quite like one and the same with like traditional Japanese idols with like this weird like in between thing. If we're just going by that, but anyways, yeah, I see what you mean. But also, I don't know, like. It's the next one gatekeeping. I'm trying to actually check these off so we don't skip one because last time I did it I skipped one. Oh, actually no, we're actually moving to this one. Overseas idol.
I mean, well, if you want to talk about gatekeeping, the proper segue would be, it's such a broad term that what's like, if it did like, because there is some gatekeeping going on.
Because actually, yeah,
which is very strange
Let's
to
move on to
me.
gatekeeping because I have some other points about this, but I feel like the gatekeeping thing it ties in way too much for me to not bring it up there.
Fair enough. Go ahead.
Now, the problem with the term is that it's so broad, and I feel it isn't, but most people consider it so broad, and I guess Callie's one of them. You
don't feel like the term that overseas idol is too broad?
I think it's simple. It's just somebody doing idol activities outside of Japan. But the thing is,
The problem is, I guess the issue is when someone defines themselves as an overseas idol, and that is their primary definition. That then is like, well, that doesn't make sense because, like you need to be more specific.
Because it's really hard to because there's this crazy mix in the overseas idol groupings here, like the vast majority. And I don't say this facetiously. Like I'm pretty sure that if we like polled them all or just grouped them all and like separated them more, which some people have tried. Fun fact, within the community itself, you'll find that that probably nearly half, or maybe even more than half, but somewhere around half, are just anime idol people, to various extents, and those two things don't really mix, in the traditional idol community in Japan. So it's just an odd thing that so many here who call themselves overseas idols are technically mainly just cosplay or like anime idol type groups.
And I have a point about this. I mean, it's easy to like distinguish between the two by definition. Like, one does covers of anime.
Yeah, for the
Idols
record, what I mean
songs.
is, for those who don't know what I'm talking about, what I mean is, because I didn't actually explain it that well, what I mean is like the Love Live cover groups, like the millions, and there's
It's supposed to be
dozens.
Love Live.
Yeah, it's always like
Mostly Love Live.
it's never Idol
99%.
Master, or I mean it sometimes is,
I
but
wish there was Idol Master. I would love an Idol Master group.
but it's always Love Live.
Mostly Love Live.
It's always like an Aqua cover group or whatever. Anyway, so yeah, that's what I meant. Anyways,
Yeah.
go on, Kelly.
Yeah.
And the big distinction, by the way, the big argument between the two is that, like, the people who create original content want to be solely defined as overseas idols, and they don't want the term to be applied to people who do anime covers because they don't create their own content. And I guess the idea is that just the people who create their own content want a term that's just for them, is the idea, which I totally get. But in practice, in America, they're doing identical things because they're both like in the not the top level. We can talk about the top. Manuel's always like the top people go to Japan and all this blah blah. I just mean like top, like, you know, they would be going to conventions to perform, like, which. The both of them are to be doing exactly the same thing. They would be like wearing costumes and going to the conventions and performing.
That's a whole argument.
The only difference is that the original content people release their music to be bought.
That's a whole argument that like I've had a million times. Like not even within the overseas idol like discussion. How cons misconstrued idols in general. That's how this came up, because last week our topic was how idols are misseen.
Yeah.
That's actually why we were talking overseas this week. Oh, sorry, it just totally hit my. If anyone wants to watch last week we did an episode on how idols are misconstrued or misseen by the overall community. And that's why we want to talk about overseas idols specifically, and then all that shit happened, and just big coincidence. Anyway, going back to that, that's a huge topic, and I feel that like it just exasperates that problem that I feel that like cons are like, we're having an idol showcase, and it's just like, and they're never gonna talk Morning Musume, they're never gonna talk Momero Clover, they're never gonna talk AKB. They're never going to talk any of these groups, like, you know, or any of the million, like, you know, Chica idol groups. They're going to just talk about Love Live, you know, and that's what it's going to be. And it's like, that's really not representative of idols, like, at all. Like, the story of Love Live, and obviously the groups they're out, because the groups are just like seiyuu actresses. So it's like nothing about it.
I feel like that is mostly a failure of the con staff, because I feel like the people who actually go to conventions totally know these distinctions.
I kind of agree too, but like the performers do, whether or not they feel that they land on one side or the other.
I feel like at least of the people who would go to a panel like that, I feel like at least like 30% would be like, this is all Love Live. I came here for other stuff. You know what I mean?
I mean, most people don't really know. I mean, the general con goer probably does not know much about idols at all. Maybe they do think about Love Live, but they would not go to a panel like that unless it said Love Live. So, like, the people that do go there are going to be people that do know, like, idols, different idols. Yeah, like 3D or 2D or, so.
Yeah, I'm not saying the whole con population is 30%. That's definitely not the case.
Yeah.
It's funny because like
I go to cons and I'm convinced that 25% of the people don't even watch anime, and I'm
for sure. They do not watch anime. Oh, like, why are you here?
Oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, like, the definition of idols it's just really loose in the States in general. Like, in English, idol is just such a loose term, so then people don't know how, like, to use it in a Japanese context, if that makes sense. Because, like, American Idol is totally different, you know, when you say, like, oh, they're idols, but then in Japan, you wouldn't see those people as idols, you would see them singers, you know?
Yeah.
So people here kind of like, well, I think this is like an idol, so they just kind of label all sorts of things as idols, but there's no one to say, oh, that's not an idol, because they're like, well, it's kind of used like that too, so then everyone just uses idol however they want. It's like fine, I guess.
But no, I just feel that like there should be more of a distinction with the 2D idols. Like, honestly, the rest, and there's a few others. Because, like, I was going to mention Orderitas, I was going to mention, like, some of the other, like, more subsets. But those can kind of still fall under the category, like, the overseas idols. But specifically, the 2D ones, I feel like the cosplay ones, I feel like those ones kind of, like, belong into a world of their own. And I just...
You mean, like, 2D idol cover groups?
Exactly,
you mean like that,
yeah.
or do you mean like actual?
No,
okay,
like,
okay. So you're saying like the people that do Love Live dance covers and stuff.
Well,
it's like,
the biggest
reason the thing is, I understand why you feel that way, and like because like they need their own categories so that like proper idols are like not Love Live can be more recognized. But it's kind of an interesting argument to say that, like, the majority needs to be separated out so that the minority has space.
No, it's only because the majority happens to be this, and that I'm not gonna lie. It's because they're the majority that it never will be, and I've always said this to like other people, like not even people who were arguing about it like last week, but I've always said this, like it'll never be properly separated because they are the vast majority.
Of course not. Well, because like I said, like. They are functionally the same in America.
I guess, but stylistically, a lot of the things are not. I don't know.
Before Love Live became a thing, I don't think people were calling themselves idols that much.
Exactly.
In general.
Yeah, no.
So I think a lot of people, even if they were performing, like when I performed a lot, more with a bunch of people, I don't think any of the people around me ever called themselves idols. They always said, "Oh, I'm a cover performer. I'm a performer."
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
I guess it is true. I guess I don't think the kind of does count. But I did mention earlier.
Honestly, I think you make a very good argument that the popularity of like Love Live cover artists has created a space for original idols to perform.
Yeah.
There's always been a space for them to perform before. I feel like they're choking out the original people.
Where was the space though?
Same place it's always been, like conventions and whatever.
I mean, I saw Tiffany perform in was that the 18 plus room? What room was that?
Oh yeah, that was 18. That was
Yeah.
Oh. You mean at ALA?
Yeah, I think it was ALA.
Oh yeah, because
wait, you were at that one?
That was the entertainment lounge.
Oh. but like you wouldn't see that kind of performance like as an opening to the Masquerade. Like you definitely would a Love Live cover group.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense though.
But like
I don't think it makes sense, to be honest, to have regular idol performers at the Masquerade as like an opening or the middle
because it's cosplay.
It's specifically cosplay, so it makes more sense if it's like a Love Live cover group for
the original music performed as an opening to the Masquerade.
Mm-hmm. I had two. Like bands and stuff also do it.
No, it was like a solo singer. I can't remember who. It was like Fandom Masquerade or something like that.
But that's always been a place. Fanimated have always been a place for idol performers who weren't covering weren't Love Live cover people. I mean to say.
I mean, there are places for people that don't do like cosplay covers and stuff that originally were doing it at cons. Because if there's a stage, usually you can ask someone, be like, "Hey, I want to perform on that stage for like 30 minutes," and they'll be like, "Okay, whatever," and you do it. But it was just more.
That's a genuine question.
It was just more niche
wants
at
to
the
perform
time.
on stage, apparently. Callie wants to perform on a stage. Basically, that's what she's asking.
No, I have ducklings that want to perform on stage.
Ducklings.
Remember?
Well, not gonna be happening anytime.
I know you 2021 girl, but
yeah.
Ducklings. I just imagine you like the mama duck with the ducklings like in the pond or whatever. But anyways, but no, another thing, and this is funny because like I've ranted about this this is actually to be honest, this is my bigger thing. I can almost like Konaru is actually really big on the separating 2D from 2D from 3D or the 2D from non-anime idol peoples or whatever. But my biggest gripe, and this kind of goes into gatekeeping because I see this all the time, even within the ones who aren't. Actually, you only see it in the ones who aren't, because the ones who are doing Love Live will only do Love Live. But you'll see this all the time with the ones who aren't. The ones who mix K-pop with their J-pop, like sets, so to speak.
Hell yeah, as they should.
No.
Okay,
No, wait.
I just really want to quickly say that these two have way more experience than I do. I'm still forming my opinions, so anything that I say with any kind of confidence is not coming from confidence.
I have a big thing, and
Ignorance.
and Tiffany's heard this argument before, because it's the same argument. This argument's never changed.
Yeah.
If you go to a J-pop, like say we went to a J-pop cover night, what the fuck it's called. It doesn't matter what it's called.
Oh yeah.
Say we went to it. Say there were two events. We have to put this in head. Because ALA has done this. There's a J-pop cover night, and then there's a K-pop cover night. If you go to the J-pop cover night, I guarantee you there will probably be a good chance you'll find a K-pop song mixed in there for whatever reason.
That's weird.
No, it'll happen.
Okay, well that is not. I mean, if they do,
no, and nobody cares.
I feel like
and nobody cares. But the second
K-pop slaps.
But when you
the problem right now is with your argument, Manuel, is that there's not that many people that are into J-pop as much as there were like 10 years back.
I can't
You know what I mean?
stand it.
K-pop is running over because K-pop appeals to a lot of younger people,
I like how
whether you like it or not.
It's got everyone awake suddenly. But yeah, that's my big argument. Ever since I started A to G,
Well, you just argue that because you don't like K-pop.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I used to be a decent not knowledgeable. I used to be a decently general.
And then it became popular, and then you can't like it anymore.
No.
It's popular.
There's actually kind of that, but there's actually more of a thing.
Yeah,
Whenever I would go to conventions, especially like when I would like started doing the AJ thing, started doing panels. Like we're talking like way back 2014, like that long ago. When I'm doing these panels, they're like, "Oh, you're talking about idols? You mean like K-pop?" And that would happen so many times. Like it still does to this day. And it's all like, and people would invite us to conventions like A to J. And it's like, oh yeah, we want more K-pop at our con. Come, and I'm like, we're A to J Connect. I mean, now we actually kind of had to force ourselves to start covering K-pop because it became so popular. But it's so sporadic that there's not really much of it on our site. But we have in the past, and we've covered. K-pop
Are you specifically
events.
talking about your idol panels?
No, I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about A to J in general. That people have always confused, like the people don't seem to separate them, and then people be like, it's obvious, but no. The average person doesn't even know the difference of like K-pop and J-pop, and I find that obnoxious.
You're just generalizing these couple of people that come to you because, like, if you say J-pop idol, no one's gonna be like, "Oh, you mean like this
Jungkook?
one K?"
I love Jungkook.
BTS is my favorite J-pop idol. I don't think
if the person you're talking to has ever cared about J-pop or K-pop, they clearly know the difference.
No, wait.
I mean, to the point that K-pop fans like to trash on J-pop fans and would never associate their favorite idols.
I think you're missing the fact. I think you're missing
J-pop.
what I'm saying here. I'm not talking about the hardcore fans. I'm talking about the casuals. Because
I'm not hardcore fans. I'm saying if they casually listened to K-pop.
Yeah.
No, I think you're giving the casuals far too much
I don't
credit.
think you need to be that hardcore to realize how much difference.
You're just thinking
people can't
like
tell the language.
majority...
No. Go to any video on YouTube. People can't tell the languages apart in the comment section, and they're like,
But that argument is beyond people messing up idols. That's just people generalizing Asians. That's like a bigger issue.
To be fair,
that's the argument. That's the argument.
Talking about
it is because
I mean, you can't.
It's like borderline racist.
Be honest.
That it's all just mixed in there.
It's racist, but that I don't like that you're like associating the general K-pop fans or like general, fans.
You're missing.
Wait, stop.
Hold on. You're missing the point. I'm not saying it's just the K-pop fans. I'm actually specifically calling out the J-pop ones who will go do a J-pop idol set and then mix in K-pop. That I'm specifically calling out J-pop fans. You're missing the point.
Like performers, or are you talking about people that organize?
Performers.
The thing right now is
I don't want to call you.
I mean, I also
exactly. I don't want to call you out. But Dempop has done this as well.
But no, I'm just saying because no one advertises their show as a J-pop show anymore. And if they do, they only do J-pop. But most people, they say idol show or a cover.
But that's what I mean. If you're an idol
show,
I don't know. It just I don't.
So
I
so the generation of we only do J-pop here because this is a con, babe, from anime. But then your argument about but anime equals Japanese doesn't work anymore because look at these webtoons that are Korean that are coming in, and now so you're saying that like Tower of God, that's Korean, so you can't have that at an anime con. Like that seems like the thing is like. These things are starting to mix.
There's also like all the Tencent animation and stuff like that. People still typically call it Chinese animation, Korean animation. At least I still always thought of it that way.
Well, okay, but you cannot look at Tower of God and say that it's not anime.
It's like calling American shit anime. Like, Ruby's anime now. But
Ruby is anime. Well, don't start me on this.
Ruby
shut up, Mr. Root,
like a mix,
Mrs. Rooster Teeth over there. But anyway, I'm not gonna. I actually didn't. I totally forgot who I was talking to when I shouted that out right now. But let's kind of let's mildly try to go back to the topic here. Is that like that's my biggest pet peeve. Like if you went to an idol show that like they were covering nothing but K-pop, you would be weirded out that in the middle of it they started doing heavy rotation. You'd be like, oh, that was random. Why the fuck they do that?
No,
I don't think so.
I'd say no, I was. Yeah,
I
don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I would only trash on it because it's AKB, but if it was Morning Musume, though, I would appreciate it.
But I don't know.
But I mean, like, even people that listen to K-pop or, like, now they have that association because IZ*ONE came to be, and that had AKB, so now I don't think, you know?
We had the argument of IZ*ONE before. Like, no idol fan really became a fan of, like, IZ*ONE. That was just for K-pop people. That was a K-pop
Saying
group.
They did, okay, representative of, you know, Japanese people and J-pop.
Two things I'll say real fast. And if anyone, oh shit, people in the chat. Oh, UG,
I would like to note that a lot of K-pop people got into J-pop through IZ*ONE.
Yeah.
Hold on. Well, no, that's exactly what I'm getting at. I'm saying the reverse doesn't work. That's exactly what I said. J-pop got into K-pop, but the K-pop didn't get into J-pop. Like nobody started listening to AKB
not
because
from
of this.
IZ*ONE, but like Twice or
anyway.
Cherry Bullet or like a lot of other groups.
I mean, right now they even have that group that is fully Japanese, but they're produced by the same people that do Twice and stuff like that, you know? And I feel like all my idol fans, all my Japanese idol fans that are from Japan, they're all checking them out. Not because, you know, only because they're Japanese. Oh, you know, K-pop's popular. It's like their gateway to get in. So I don't think, I mean, it's kind of sort of mixing, you know, idol standards are kind of mixing, K-pop and J-pop, they're both popular in Japan now. And, like, I get the argument of why do you have a con that is centered around Japanese culture? Why are you bringing Korean culture that's racist?
Yes.
Why you wouldn't do Chinese, you wouldn't do something else. But then that also brings up the problem of like, okay, if it's centered only around Japanese culture, then should we ban every Spider-Man cosplay, Deadpool cosplay?
Get rid of Ruby.
Do we get rid of anyone that cosplays Avatar or whatever? You know, like...
Oh, actually, Avatar's an even better example than Ruby, but yeah.
Like, you know, I feel like conventions, to a certain point, like J-Pop Summit, I would never want to see something K-pop, because that is specifically J-Pop, you know? But, like, a convention nowadays is so loosely, I don't know, like, people kind of just bring whatever costume and they perform whatever. And I feel like there's no point in being like, no, it has to be Japanese. Only Nihongo here, when y'all aren't even Japanese. So don't even talk about, like, as if you're offended for our culture or something. You know? Like, I don't think anyone that's Japanese looks at these cons and they're like, can't believe they brought those filthy American cartoon cosplays.
No,
I can't believe they brought that filthy Korean K-pop cover here. Like, they're like, Americans whatever and they costuming.
Yeah, I think I'm not like offended for anyone. I find it annoying and I hate it.
You're just offended.
Yeah, I'm offended for myself. Like, there's nothing to do with being offended on behalf of the Japanese people. No. Fuck
But
them.
it's just so
I'm
weird
kidding.
that you're so offended for some reason when
I
you're
just
like,
can't
it's
stand
like,
it. Well, for the record, there are other people. Like, I kind of wish Konaru hadn't backed out of this one, because she didn't want to talk about it for reasons. This topic, I mean,
I get it.
yeah, mind you, she was going to, but then the other thing happened, so she chose not to show up on this one. But but fuck, what's getting out here?
I have no idea.
But she agrees with me on all this shit about the K-pop stuff. That she agrees with
I
me.
don't care what Konaru thinks.
I'm not trying to say
it's
that.
not.
You're the one who's here. Talk about it.
I know.
Let me finish. And there are other people that do as well. And going back to the actual
You
topic,
always use this strange argument whenever you don't know where to go. You always just say, other people agree with me.
yes,
I mean,
it's an
I bet
argument.
they do. And, you know, there's a lot of people that are also part of the KKK and they agree on lynching, you know? But is that...
Konaru, Tiffany.
I mean, everyone has. There is a group of people that believe...
Okay.
I'm not saying that,
But the
you
part
know,
I was
but
gonna...
there's... It's like no one's wrong here. I don't think anyone's wrong, but there's no point
Callie's
of like
wrong about Ruby.
gatekeeping.
But no.
Oh my god.
What I wanted to say, another point that I say all the time, is that with very rare exceptions, and like, I know people who like whatever, because obviously I like all my Chinese stuff as well. So it's kind of like I'm kind of almost throwing stones in the glass house here. But actually, I am throwing stones in the glass house here, but I don't mix the two. But I've never
you're the
met...
one who opened up AJ Connections, and you're like, but we want to cover Chinese things, and I'm like, hey, that's not Japanese though, and you're like, but they're kind of loosely related, and I was like, that's
no, I didn't say that. My exact...
Well, you're the one who opened up, so...
No, it's actually funny, for those who don't know, wait, hold on, for those who don't know, I'm actually admitting this. If you follow the history of AJ Connections, we've been teasing the coverage of Chinese things for about 5 years now. Because, like...
Had so many arguments about it.
Yeah, like, the people we had in Taiwan, the people me going to Taiwan, oh shit, I'm not going to wear fans, and stuff like that. The interview opportunities we've had, we've, once again, similar to K-pop, we've slowly been covering it now. Just randomly, not even like we stopped making announcements about it, we just did it. But yeah, so, and it's met a lot of resistance. Mainly from Tiffany, other people. See, then why do you argue about that? Because you were one of the main arguments about that. So I don't get it.
That was like a couple years back, and I also argued that K-pop shouldn't be at cons at the time. But now I don't care.
I just realized
because now it's like
Tiffany. No, actually, real talk. Tiffany used to be on my side, like before Konaru was around. Cause I actually only met Konaru semi-recently.
And then she came to the light.
Yeah, like Tiffany was the person that, like, she'd be my buddy here and be all like, yeah, why is there K-pop shit in my fucking idol stuff? And now Tiffany's
I'm
all
sure
like,
you brought her
yeah,
on because you thought she was going to agree with you.
I knew she wouldn't, because we've long since diverged, like, years ago, on this view.
Yeah,
not like in general, but on this view.
Because the concept of cons are so loose now, so that's why I don't really... I mean, my argument was always that these cons wanted to focus on only anime, or they only wanted to focus on certain things. And then now they're like, we don't really care. I mean, that's the reason why all these cons are inviting all sorts of guests now, not just people from Japan, not people just from anime industry. You know, they invite... I mean, like, come on, they invite people that are random, like, YouTubers and stuff now, and... that they don't always have to be anime related either. So
the first con I ever went to was AOD, and AOD has almost no one from anime did. It would always have people from American animation.
It was like a strange con where they didn't know what to do anymore, and then they started going into like gaming instead of anime.
To be fair about AOD, their name was always because I don't know if anyone remembers this. I actually remember AOD's first year because that was the year that they had Cyclo there.
I mean, it was originally animation on drugs.
Animation on display. It was animation on display.
Anime on drugs.
So it never
was
was typically anime, and so they have a bit of a.
I mean, it was in every other respect. It was 100% anime.
No, I agree.
Except for
I agree, except for the name too. But then when it was AOD, you didn't really notice that anymore. But I will admit, Anyways, I'm just saying that in AOD's small defense, it's not like going to Anime Expo and they had no anime people,
Yeah.
It was a little different in their respect. It's like going to Kraken Con and being surprised by that, because even though they are like they do predominantly do anime, Kraken Con was one in Sacramento, which is gone now. Not Sacramento, Oakland, which is gone now. RIP. But they would mix things up as well with their guest list. They weren't all. I think they haven't hit anyone anime like ever. But fun fact though, not on this topic, I'll just say this out there right now. Sac Anime does not live up to their name. They've never really Sac Anime, yeah. They have anime in their name.
I know.
And
what
they
name? What name are you talking about?
Sac Anime, but they call themselves like an anime convention, but then they have like the most random people there half the time. But anyway,
I think we're in
the weeds here. We're in the weeds here. Let's jump back to gatekeeping. Actually, let's just wrap this up. TLDR, stop bringing K-pop to my shit. I'll shake my fist at you on my lawn or whatever the fuck.
But they can bring C-pop, right? That's fine.
No, C-pop still has to be its own separate thing. No,
you're like, no. I only want it if it's separate. If it's only C-pop.
Yeah,
I don't
separate
want no
but equal,
J-pop.
Manuel.
Oh my god, you guys, I hate you guys so much.
I feel like this argument would be so different if we were just talking about C-pop and we were saying, yeah, we love C-pop. It's just like an argument that like it makes sense but doesn't really need it, because in the end, otherwise anime cons are gonna die if it's like just anime, because anime is like J-pop is just not appealing to anyone young anymore, which is sad. I mean, I love J-pop and obviously it's my people and I listen to it a lot, but it's just the reality of I can't talk to anyone about J-pop near me, It's so hard because no one knows any J-pop. They don't even know anime songs. They watch the animes and they all skip it's so easy to go on Netflix right now, watch anime and be like, skip the anime openings and endings.
Like, I was watching, I mentioned before, like, there's a show I watched that's on Netflix called, it's Pili, like the Taiwan puppet thing. But my point is, there is no way, and I looked, to like, you have to go back and just start it again to watch the fucking intro. Like, it skips the intro.
It?
No,
I swear to God, there's a setting you can put in your Netflix account that changes
maybe I can do it because I'm not gonna lie, I use Warren's, but
yeah, well,
I still Warren's Netflix, but it always skips it if it's not the first thing they show. Like if it's like it starts with like a live action or some sort of scene, then it shows the intro. The option to skip it is there. But if it starts with the intro immediately on a show, it'll just skip it. And I find that so obnoxious. Like, why is that a default or like something? But then again, I talk to other people, apparently that is a default, so I guess you do have to turn it off if there is an option. But yeah, I feel what Tiffany says about opening themes.
Yeah, I had a really sad encounter with a bunch of friends that were talking about ReZero or whatever, and I got really excited because I don't watch ReZero, but I know the anime opening and ending, and I'm like, yeah, I love those songs. So I played it in a shared playlist, and they're like, what the hell are you playing? And I'm like, it's the anime opening and they're like, we're not weebs like that. And I got really sad.
What? You're not weebs like that?
So I got really sad. So
that's upsetting. Oh,
that's just how a lot of people watch anime, but they don't care about the songs. So it's sad.
I'll be honest. I only care about the songs that slap.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, though. Not good. I'm gonna skip it.
I've been listening to the Fruits Basket Season 2 ending on repeat for weeks now. It is so good.
Oh my god.
Anyways, Yuji agrees with us.
No, I'm asking right now. I don't know if she's agreeing with you or not. It's kind of worded oddly. I don't know if she means this.
That's what she said. She said it used to bother me before because I don't like K-pop, but now it's 2020 and we're woke.
Yeah, we're woke.
Oops. So you know what?
She can't fucking read.
I just don't know how to fucking read. What's that one?
Like,
yeah.
fucking read.
So let's move on
now
to the
do
next
anime
thing.
songs, so it's like whatever. It's all gonna mix, and we're all gonna become one, and whatever.
Idols.
The end. Yeah.
Next was
One
kind of
race.
also gatekeeping a bit, but I'm curious. I have a far lesser view on this, so this is a much like a lighter topic to talk about. Idols, hobby or not? Because that's a huge argument.
How do you define hobby? The way the government defines it?
Government? CCP?
The
No,
government defines a hobby as you know, you don't have to pay. You can. It's complicated. Anyways, the government actually does define hobby. Like, you can have a business that's technically a hobby because you don't actually make money from it.
Oh, that's sad.
No, I was gonna say
Yeah, I guess it depends.
because that was kind of like, to be honest, that was kind of the crux of. I don't want to get into that, but this was a topic I really want to talk about anyway.
Well,
that was the
technically,
crux
that wasn't even what the discussion was about, but I see what you mean.
I mean, like, that wasn't what it was about. But when you boil down some of the talking points that were in that argument last week, a lot of them boil down to this, because it's like, oh, are they taking it seriously enough? I don't want to quote things.
Okay. I honestly think that the question is not hobby or professional, because
my notes.
You're not gonna make. You cannot just. This can't be your sole income, which would be a professional, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
That is
more
true.
like, are you doing it? Are you doing it and intending on some kind, like, you want to profit off of it, or are you just doing it because it's fun and you'll do it for free? I guess. I mean, like, for free meaning, yeah, you want money to, like, commute or something, but you don't want to, like, make personal money off it. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like the wording needs to change.
To be fair though, it is worth noting that there are idols within Japan who, like, aren't really, like, full-time idols, even though they are kind of. I don't know if that makes any sense. You know what I mean, Tiffany, right? I don't know if you can explain that better.
Yeah.
There are idols who are big and not big, but they're in the scene, they're doing their stuff, but they probably have a day job, or or they probably don't, or they might live with their parents still, or stuff
I think
like that.
the better question is, like, on a scale of 0 to 10, how committed are you? Like, would you cancel plans in your life to work on this? Because I feel like that's more helpful. Because, I mean, the whole question is basically, like, the whole originally kind of the question was like, what kind of resources do we need to provide? And the thing is like, and it's just a helpful question, because it's like, if you want to do a collab with someone and you start and then the other person just drops out, that's so unhelpful.
Yeah.
Which is what usually happens, because people have different levels of commitment. So I guess,
you'll see it a lot in. I don't, and this I can't actually pick out any specific group names, meaning because I don't know any. Like, I know the group I'm talking about, but I'm like, I don't remember their name if I had to, like, quote them right now. So thank God I don't. So it won't even slip. But that's also a slight problem. I don't know if you can call it a problem. A thing. That's a better way to put it. With a lot of groups within the overseas idol, like, scene, that there's levels of commitments even within some of the bigger ones, like some of the ones who have original songs, some of the ones who do make money, some of the ones who do perform in Japan.
I mean, within any group, even the actually successful groups, every person's gonna have a different level of commitment, and sometimes it's possible for the people with more commitment to make up for the people with less commitment, but there's definitely a minimum threshold. Like, you gotta at least show up.
And I'm pretty sure Tiffany, without naming names, has experienced that hardcore in some of the groups she's been in as well.
Yeah, because I've worked with so many people, whether it was just for, like, one-time things or, like, things that were gonna work for, obviously I've never called myself an idol, so maybe I don't really count in this whole overseas idol stuff, but, like, I've worked with a lot of people to perform at cons and to do videos or stuff like that, and definitely there's people that are just seeing it as, like, oh, like a fun side thing to do on a weekend, versus, like, someone that's like, I will dedicate every day to practice and commit and definitely show up. And then some people, they just go, oh, it's within my daily life, I didn't have any time, so I will not show up to this weekend for the con, like, a day before. And you're like, okay. Well, now you can't carry the whole team if you didn't practice for that person. You're like, well, they were supposed to sing half the song, and now I have to remember the whole song, and I cannot do that. Like, some of that, But.
Yep.
R.I.P.
Yep, sucks.
Sucks to suck. There's I remember the very first time I ever met Heidi, uh, it was at Fanime, and she was performing at the stage. It's actually a long story. It's actually kind of a weird story because I was like running around because I had lost something. So I only saw her for a second, took some pictures, and left. Um, but apparently that solo live was like kind of her first ever solo live, and it was an accident because it was supposed to be a duo live, and the person never showed up. So it was just like, yeah, and like I only heard like 1.5 songs from it, so I don't know how the rest of it went. I didn't like film any of it. I wonder if it's probably on YouTube. I should probably go Google it later, but if I cared, if I Google it later on and check. But I've always wondered about that too. Like, how does one really recover from um, a duo, especially when it's a duo when the other person just doesn't show up? That just sounds like ridiculous.
I've had that happen before, so
like Tiffany said that happened as well.
Literally had someone canceled at like midnight the day before the performance, and I had to like relearn everything.
I remember like it was quite. It probably wasn't quite that issue. I mean, that's the one Tiffany's talking about, I think. But the very first ALA in Ontario, I had I handled this badly too. I handled this badly myself too, I'll admit. Tiffany was a guest at that one, and she was gonna perform. Well, not Tiffany. JPop was a guest at that one.
Yeah.
And she was gonna perform at a few things. Like one of them, I forgot what they. Oh, she had a solo thing like on the main stage, opening for Lolita Dark, and then she was gonna perform on during the halftime show. Not she, but JPop was gonna perform at the halftime show for the ALA Idol, which is now just called ALA Talent Show. But anyway, let's not get into that. But or ALA Got Talent, what they call it now. But but Tiffany, Angie wasn't able to go, and I didn't tell.
Yeah, that wasn't her fault, but you know, it was pretty unfortunate.
I didn't tell anyone at the con. I just waited. Like it was kind of close to the con anyway, but I didn't tell anyone at the con until we got there, and I had to start telling people that like because I was kind of sort of like like this wasn't like a thing that was really happening, but I was kind of sort of acting as like Tiffany's manager-ish at the time. So I was talking to everyone, and I was like, "Oh, I probably should start telling them that it's not going to be JPop, it's just Tiffany from JPop, as we were calling it." So yeah, and but yeah, that's that was.
No, I didn't have. I had a little bit of notice. That was like a week's notice.
It was,
so
yeah, it was a bit of
stuff.
I didn't want to say the time frame because that gives it away how long I waited until telling anyone. Like all the con people who had to have known, the guest people, the ones who were like scheduling their autograph thing and all this shit, and I'm like, don't tell anyone until I get there. Like I'll explain it in person. I'm not gonna lie, I was afraid that they would just replace her or something. So I was just like, I'm not gonna tell anyone.
That's too much effort.
Yeah, it would have been.
That's true. ALA would be too much effort. Who are they gonna replace it with?
Exactly. So I just waited until we got there, and I was like, oh, by the way, it's only Tiffany. And everybody was like kind of mad. I mean, rightfully so, because I literally, and that probably looked like as if it was last minute when it wasn't. But
yeah,
I don't know. Like I said, I have a much lesser thing on this one. There's a topic I wanted to talk about before we start wrapping this up about constructive criticism or not. And I feel like there's parts of what I'm going to say in that one that works better. But yeah, I don't think. I do think that. Okay, what I do think, and I'll say this, and this is actually a note I made. I forgot to read it, but I just remembered it right now. Is on the level of skill, because I feel like there are people like groups, individuals, not so much people within groups, but I mean groups and individuals themselves. There will always be people who take it like Callie said, like more serious than others, and typically that shows. Some people are just naturally talented. I guess it could show without that, but it'll usually show. Like, so they'll almost be like, without even like trying to get like high and mighty about it, they'll always be like the people who are like quote unquote amateur, and I say quote unquote because technically they're all amateurs, but amateurs, and they'll be the ones who are like they practice like on the regular for like they've always done this for like months, or like they've been together for a couple of years and they're always practicing, they're always doing singing practices, they've recorded their own stuff, like they're pretty tight as a unit. And I've always felt that, especially like within like some of these showcases, that especially now that they have these online ones everywhere, that there should almost be a vetting of them. I don't mean a vetting as in kicking them out. Like, oh, you're less talented, get rid of you. That's actually a thought that I only came up with a bit recently. But I think there should definitely be like, these are our main people, and then these are our opening acts, or like these are like this is something like that. And maybe just leave it like that, and then you can kind of graduate to like the main thing. Because on the same hand, I will admit, and this actually took a bit of thought on my own. I'm like, the more I thought about it, I'm like, I don't think anyone should really be like, if you're having fun, I don't think anyone should be like excluded, especially like. Once again, the constructive.
See, you come around to my side.
No, well, I'm gonna finish.
Me and Manuel talked about this before.
I will admit that there's something to be said about criticism that I'll explain later. We'll cover that at a totally different thing. There is something that has to be said about that. I think it has to be said. But I do agree that if you're just doing it for fun and everyone's willing to, like, not willing to, but if everyone's there having fun as well and everyone is like watching for fun as well, then fuck it. But I do think that there should be like, and I don't mean like literally making a staircase where it's like, the ones that are least talented or least prepared are at the very bottom.
Here's the thing about that. Part of the thing is logistically, it's a nightmare because what if you don't have enough of one or the other, and then you're fucked. If you keep it really loose, if you don't actually define those things, it will never be a problem because no one has those expectations. My thing is, what were the words I was gonna say? Oh. You don't need to define those things. People have eyeballs and judgment, and they can see the performances.
But that's what I'm getting at. That's exactly what I'm getting at. Is that obviously this works within the community, and that's part of the problem I feel it is. And once again, this goes to constructive criticism thing later, but I will say that there seems to be almost this like enclosed bubble, and like there's other less polite terms to use, but I'll use the enclosed bubble, where like it's almost like
everyone... Big gate?
Huh? Well, I
don't know. I genuinely don't know what you're trying to describe.
I was gonna say circle jerk, but
circle jerk. Okay.
I was gonna say there's this enclosed bubble where everyone just kind of like has fun, cheers each other on, but they all watch themselves. Where it's very much like not that it's not open, but they're kind of just doing it for themselves. Like, and I don't mean like themselves. I mean like this little circle. But like the person who comes in from the outside, I think, would be the one who would have more of a stronger like way to put this. But I do think that if you separated like, oh, they're one of the openers. That's probably a better word you call it than an opener. But they're one of the openers. I guess they're still a trainee. Maybe the trainee course. I don't know. And then it's like, oh, so I'll watch this and I'll understand that their quality is, gonna. I don't mean dancing. I mean the quality of video, the quality of presentation might be a little down. Their skill might be a little unpolished, and you'll accept that. And then if you keep watching, or if you notice, like, hey, later on, the main people come on, the headliners, and you watch that. And there are groups, and I don't want to name any for a lot of reasons, so then you might know the ones I'm like not naming. And they're not the ones I always name. There's actually, I have some like favorites that might surprise people. That I feel it's so awkward when you're watching some of these things, and I watched a ton of these performances recently. The way that the really talented, I don't say talented, but the really like polished ones are just sandwiched.
Polished, that's the right word. Polished.
Are just sandwiched between like everyone else.
So I fully see your point, and that definitely makes sense. However, I still go back to by the way, I'm only talking about this because I may be in the works for working on a show like this. So I've thought about this kind of thing.
Funny. But Manuel could dance too.
I know.
Honestly, that would be wonderful. I would love to see that.
What, me dance?
Everyone is invited to my idol show. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
So the thing, like I said, logistically, that's just a problem. Also, I mean, I think it just causes unnecessary drama. I think that as a host, you can set up people's expectations in a way that doesn't have to put specific labels on it and doesn't have to like apply any negative labels to people.
See, that's the thing. I don't think it's negative. Like
I'm not saying that my words got fucked up. I don't mean that the headliner and the opening act are negative labels. I mean, like, you don't have to be like, this person sucks, welcome to the stage, you know? Like,
well, don't do that. Well,
you can say other things.
To be fair, you see that in like real music. You know what I mean? Like you go to a real show, like a real, like, you know, huge show, and they'll have openers.
The headliner and the opener.
And they're clearly, well, not just that, but if you go to like a club, like if you say you go see like a huge rock group, not metal so much, see a huge rock group at like the Whiskey A Go Go, those shows always have like 6 groups or so in them. Because, you know, the headliner goes on like fucking 11 or midnight. But then they'll have the show starts at 6 or some bullshit. And like they'll have all these acts, and they're clearly tiered that way. Like more obvious than what I'm even insinuating. But they're clearly tiered. No one's gonna show up for the actual opener, and then so on. And I'm not saying that that's the way it should be, like that tiered, but I'm saying like it's a real thing. It's almost like,
of course it's a real thing. I mean, well, to be fair, those people are actually making money.
No,
I think that's a big difference.
The people,
I mean, they maybe not making money, but those are like people who really genuinely aspire to make money.
So some of the ones at the bottom of the tier are not making a dime. They might even have spent money to end up on that bill.
But they at least got a gig. You know, most overseas idols aren't even getting gigs. But, you know, so I mean, it's like, I feel like I mean, I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. And I feel like in the future, if overseas idols became more of like a legitimate thing, that would definitely be something that could and should be added. But like because people are generally just doing it, I mean, for fun, no matter how committed they are, really, it's for fun. I don't feel that the need to make it a negative experience unless they are genuinely seeking critique, and even then it doesn't have to be a negative experience. But like, we'll transition. Unless you have more to say about this, we can transition into critique.
Yeah, let's do that. So there's far more we can say on that, and I think a lot of it starts going into that territory anyway. Idol critique.
Yeah.
We'll just put that overseas idol critique. Overseas idol critiques. Okay,
and I just really want to make a point really quickly, which will set up my whole thinking for this, okay? I feel like a lot of people in life, but specifically overseas idols, don't really necessarily look for critique because they don't necessarily, like, they're not necessarily aiming for professionals, which is, like, understandable. And then the people who are, I feel like, can kind of critique that, like, maybe not perfectly, but they can kind of see, like, oh man, I can tell this kind of sucks. And they might ask for critique on specifics, but there are very few people that are in the Venn diagram of really genuinely passionate about something and aiming for, you know, whatever, and like, you know, I don't see any of my flaws. I mean, you might think that there are more people that like that than there are, but I don't think there's that many people that are like that. Because I mean, people have inflated egos sometimes, but I feel like generally people can tell when they're bad, especially when you like are involved and can see other people's performances and things like that.
It's just whether or not they care to prove that or not.
Exactly, and if they don't care, then there's no need to critique them.
But you see what I mean, though. It goes back to what I said earlier, that if you're just doing this, and I know that some people will be like, well, they are, but then why are you putting it like online on Twitch or on Facebook or whatever? If you just want to exist for the bubble, like the, you know, because that honestly, that's what a lot of it is.
I think that there is definitely a percentage of people who do exist to perform for other idols. But I actually do think that that's a majority of people who feel like they haven't gotten good enough yet and haven't gotten good enough to perform for an audience. I feel like that's mostly what those people think. I don't feel like there's people who are like, man, I want to be like so popular only among other idols. I don't think there are that many people who are like that.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're putting yourself out there, you're gonna get criticism no matter what.
Well, I mean, you can't stop people from giving criticism, but you can, like, you know, there's like a difference between just getting like mean comments and like getting.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm getting at. Like, but
Like saying, "Oh, maybe you should practice that part more because it seems like you didn't know it," versus "You fucking suck." It's like, you know,
well,
like
I
obviously.
I feel like generally an audience is more gonna lean towards the mean side than they are gonna be like genuinely giving critique. I feel like the actual like people who do perform would give genuine critique from a good place, whether the person asked for it or not.
like
Yeah.
the thing. Well, okay, that's another thing I'm going to say right now is I don't think that there should be this notion, and I'm not talking about just idols. I'm not talking about just anything.
Oh, I feel a boomer. I feel a boomer opinion coming out.
It's going to be a boomer opinion. It's already happening. I don't
believe in participation awards.
No, that's not it. That's not it. I don't think anyone should ever use the thing, I didn't ask for critique. Fucking hell, we live in a world where people will give it. Stop saying that. That's not it doesn't matter. Like, by our own admission, and I'm not saying that I'll critique you whether you ask for it or not. That's not what I'm saying. I usually don't. I keep my mouth shut most of the time. Actually, I'm going to keep it shut even during this, so I'm not going to call out anyone. But if I know you, I'll probably critique you. I'm just saying that. But if I don't know you, I'm not going to say shit. But I'm saying that
there's a difference between those two things.
We live in a world.
Also, like,
huh? Go ahead.
Even if you critique someone, like, okay, let's say you don't really know this person, and you're like, oh, here's my advice if you want to improve next time, and they're like, well, I never asked. Then now you know they don't want the critique, so then you just don't give them any more critique. I think it's bad when people just keep on like, well, I'm trying to help you, and you can't stop me from critiquing you. Where it's like, but I said I don't want the critique, and now you're just harassing me because you're pushing these opinions on me.
No one should harass anyone. But for example, and I'm actually, see, I almost wish that the person had not done what they did last week, and I could make this comment with, now keep in mind, what I'm about to say has nothing to do with them. This is an argument that I've had with maybe 4 people who just haven't heard it if you don't watch the podcast all the time. For example, if A to J, like, by chance, for prep for this thing, I watched a crap ton of performances for a certain nameless online idol show. Now, say, for example, I was all like, hey, since I went ahead and watched all of those, I'm going to go ahead and write up a write-up about the show. And because, that's what I would do. I'm not going to for a million reasons, and also one of them is because I'm lazy. So don't worry, I'm not going to. But if I did, I wrote all this out, and here and there, I'm like, so-and-so was good, so-and-so was good, so-and-so needed more work, so-and-so needed more work. People shouldn't come to me and be all like, I didn't ask for your criticism, even though technically that's the same thing. It's like...
I think that, okay, first of all, I feel like I've read news articles. I've read people's reviews. I don't really watch a lot of YouTube reviews, so maybe they're different. I'm talking about media in general. I guess they are different, but I mean, traditionally, when you're writing a review, I feel like you don't really try to, unless it's just really bad and the person is like really famous and you had different expectations, you don't like pick out people and start tearing them and like pick out what like
tear them apart.
Them being bad.
But
you try to pick out the positives and then generalize, say what you didn't like, unless it's there's certain circumstances where of course you would pick out a certain person. If Tom Cruise did a job, I don't think Tom Cruise gives a shit if I tear him apart.
But I don't think so, Callie. I think you're a little wrong with that. Like, if I was legit writing something, and don't get me wrong, I wouldn't tear anyone apart. And don't get me wrong,
I'm saying in traditional media, like I said, clearly, I mean, YouTubers don't give a fuck. Like,
they make anything, so.
But on this level, for example, like, I'm not fucking writing.
I'm questioning your journalistic integrity.
I never went to school for, of all the things I went to school for, journalism was not one of them.
Which is kind of funny.
I know, of all the things I went to school for, it was not journalism, not even attempted. But no, I'm just saying that, like, I wouldn't tear anyone apart. I probably wouldn't be like, oh, I
actually also think, because I know the thing you're referencing, there is a difference between reviewing a show, which is like people who collected their thing and presented an experience. And pulling up people as an example. And then that did not present their work in any sort of way to be, like, presented. Do you know what I mean?
Wait, you're talking about idols still?
Yeah, I'm still talking about idols.
But they did.
I'm saying, like, you saw an idol show.
Publicly.
You saw an idol show that you're not going to write about.
Yeah, but I mean, they did present it to be like. I'm pretty sure they wanted to.
I mean, just because they posted it on YouTube.
I'm pretty sure they want it to be talked about because they probably want more people to watch it next time. I'm sure that's one of their.
No, I'm not. I'm saying there's a difference between writing about an idol show.
Yeah.
Versus just individuals.
And pulling up an individual.
Well, if it's from the show,
not related to the idol show.
Oh, well, that's
completely unrelated to the idol show.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do that. Like, I wouldn't write a hit piece on. I wouldn't stalk the person I thought was the worst in the show, and then be like, by the way, here's a hit piece on the other videos I saw. They apparently suck all over. I wouldn't do that.
Question: if you did write a piece, would you point out who did a bad job?
Yes, and not in a mean way. I mean, honestly, does that make me a bad person? That seems like the normal thing any person would do. I put the top people, and I wouldn't say that, like, I would honestly, the exact wording I would use were these people need work or more practice, something like that. That would be like the exact words I'd use. But I would definitely name the top and the least. I would definitely do that. And I'm sorry, that is journalistic. I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody says. You can write for anything, and that's a normal thing people do. That is a damn normal thing. Don't you think, Tiffany? I mean, like, you're like devil's advocate here, I think, in this argument. It's like, who wouldn't do that?
I mean, I guess you would, but would you do it for this kind of scale of idol?
I mean, I wouldn't write it at all, because, once again, like, and no offense to them, I mean, like...
That kind of thing more applies to, let's say, you paid money and you went to go watch an idol show.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you paid money for something, it is more definitely proportional to how much you paid. You can critique it, but like,
I mean, I've gone to events. Like, for those who don't know, one of the perks of press is you don't pay for things. Like, typically, like, I've never gone to a show I've paid for.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, like, other people paid for it.
I guess. But...
Okay, we're talking about idol shows. I mean, I'm not even specifically talking about, like, a specific one, because I've seen a bunch of collective ones, but I'm sorry, I haven't watched any of them recently. But, I mean, like, I don't think anyone's gonna be like, okay, well, I watched this online Twitch stream of a idol show, and here are the 5 people that I really like, here are 3 people that fucking sucked and need work. Like, I think no one's gonna be writing.
I think you're missing my point. Like, obviously, the bulk of the body, I think, would be about the show, would be about the way it was presented. Yeah. It'd be about, like, you know, the groups themselves. I'd probably talk way more about the ones that did very well than the ones who didn't. Like, they would probably be more of, like, an afterthought.
Yeah. I mean, you would be like, I really love these people, but you would probably not be like, well, I didn't like that person, though. I
would say, I would add it, and, like, and then at some point, I would have to talk about cons. I'd be like, cons are, like, the quality of some presentation, the presentation of the show itself. I'm not saying this is the real thing. I'm just making shit up so I could, like, you know, get words out. I'd be saying that, and then I'd be like, and perhaps these performers probably needed more, like, you know, more polish. That's actually what I probably actually would directly write. Like, those would be the words I'd use.
Yeah. I feel like most of the times in that case, people will just be like, okay, these people are the people that really stood out to me, and then the rest might need some polishing, and not say like this person, to see like,
it's like going to a contest and specifically pointing out the people who lost.
But I mean, you would do that. Who wouldn't?
Who would do that?
No, you would. If I went to a contest and I saw, you would report on the whole thing. I wouldn't say who lost, but if say it was a contest of 1 through 10, I would name probably all of them. And the 10th, obviously, the person who wasn't number 1 lost. So yeah, I would. You get what I mean? I wouldn't name everyone.
But I mean, naming them is different than being like, blah, 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 won because of these reasons. And blah, 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 lost because of these reasons.
Oh my god, I think you're putting words in my mouth. I just said what I said. I wouldn't say that.
How is that different? How is that different than what you would say?
I wouldn't be that, like, attacking, like, you know, so, like, abrasive about it. And to go back to what Tiffany said, though, about, like, lumping on these are the good people and lumping these are the ones that need polish. The reason I wouldn't do that is because I feel that there's a huge chunk in the middle that I don't want to say they're fine, like they don't need any polish, but like there's a huge chunk in the middle that I would not put like on either category. And I feel weird just lumping them with the ones who need more polish, like far more than anyone
Okay,
else.
but that's kind of I mean, it is really a specialized situation,
Anyway.
And this would all depend on the event
I'm gonna
advertises.
Everyone else.
All these idol performances are 100% top notch, top tier. You will be amazed by all of them. Or they're like, oh yeah, we're just a bunch of people that really like idols, and we're just gonna perform for fun, and I hope you enjoy it. Like if it's like that, then obviously you're not gonna be like, well, here's my critique.
Okay,
there's no benefit for you or them.
I mean, I'm not doing it for a lot of reasons, but like obviously one of them is just because it's like Tiffany said, that isn't one of the reasons. That said, I will say there is a lot of hyperbole in the description of this particular festival. I'm not going to read it because then obviously people will know what it is, but Callie, go read it yourself. There's a lot of hyperbole in there. So I'm just letting you know it's not as cut and dry as we're doing this for fun. I don't think that's there at all. I don't think that phrase is in their like thing at all. Maybe in a mission statement I didn't read, but that's not in any of their promotional materials. It's a lot of hyperbole, like the word amazing, the word, and so on. It's thrown around a lot and things like that.
I just remembered the hot take that I thought of earlier this week.
Oh, what was it?
Ooh, hot take.
Illuminati hot chip?
On a certain... Huh?
Oh, no, that's actually what the hot chip is for, like that command, so we have a hot take. Anyways, go on.
Oh, news to me. On a certain level, it's kind of strange to me. I mean, it's interesting. It's a distinction in the culture that we do put so much emphasis on skill, considering that, to me, in my perception, that is not the frontmost priority for idols in Japan.
No, I agree. I agree on that too, because there is something to be said about growth and like watching them watching them grow, like develop, get better and so on. There is something to be said about that. The minor issue. How do I say this?
I mean, you can. I feel like your issue is perhaps a like they shouldn't think they're good if they're not good.
Callie, stop putting words in my mouth.
I'm my brain. Okay, I'm verbalizing what I feel like your opinion is. Tell me if I'm wrong.
No, I think you're wrong. That's the issue. That's actually, thank you for bringing it up. That's the issue. It's like I could write a sentence and be like, and that was the literal sentence I said I would write. Is like, these parts, like in closing, these parts are amazing. Actually, I probably wouldn't close with this because this would be more in the body. But anyways, these parts are amazing. So and so probably needed more polish to their performances next time. And then
but I'm just asking why you feel the need.
Because that's part of what you would do when you report on something. But somebody would read that little sentence, which is a fragment of the sentence, and would be all like, Manuel thinks what you just said. Manuel thinks if they say they're good, why are they saying that? That's not what I said at all. I literally said they needed more polish. I don't know. I just feel like...
If you didn't mean it in that way and you wrote it in the nicest way possible, then they just take. Some people don't take criticism, period, at all. So
no, I think you're missing the point. That's exactly what I feel is wrong with the overseas idol community. They don't take criticism, period. That's what my whole point is. I'm just gonna say it outright. The whole community. Okay, I should say the whole community. There seems to be a problem within a huge majority of the community that no one knows how to take criticism. And I mean, even the most polite, friendly criticism. I know you can say we didn't ask for it. I know you can say but in the case I just mentioned, if I was doing a report, which I'm not going to do, we have more viewers now. I'm kind of nervous people are watching this from OIC, but I'm not going to do it. But if, for example, like I did that report, I don't think that it should be like. But I can already see everyone being up in arms for the same reason. And mind you,
I think part of the problem is there's definitely a difference between telling someone directly, like giving directly to that person criticism, and writing it in an article.
Well, I'm not gonna fucking. Oh, that's another thing.
I know you're not actually writing the article.
No, even if I was writing it, even if I was writing it, I would not tell anyone I was doing it. I would just do it. That's not the way these things work, Callie. I don't think you know how these things work.
Well, I didn't say that. What?
I wouldn't if I
don't know what that point you just brought up had anything to do with what I just said.
Because I wouldn't ask them if I could critique them. I would just write it. I don't go to like every group I write a review for, like a CD or something I get or whatever.
I guess my problem is if you don't, I mean, because what it sounded like when you just said that was that you don't really care if they read it.
No. What I was saying is I could see if they read it and they totally think I get attacked and like demonized and like canceled for like half a sentence that wasn't even truly negative, because my honest opinion is that there's a huge problem with taking any form of critique, which critique is the better word than criticism. But yeah, I genuinely feel like this is a little bit of a special case because
both me and Tiffany disagree that it would be journalistic standard to call out specific people when you're talking about a fairly small idol show.
It was not small in terms of numbers of performers. Like, you would need to name them.
Well, actually, that would be worse. if there was like a shit ton of performers and you pointed out 3 really shitty ones.
Oh, that'd be so sad.
I guess I do see. Okay, I guess I do see that argument too. But my defense in saying it was that people might not have watched them all. I'm not saying you would go 0 on the bad ones, but like, or people might have skimmed through them all, not seen them all. So I think just in terms of making the article more correct, or you would probably name them just to keep it. I don't know.
Wanted to, but also at the same time, why waste your effort and because you know that someone's gonna be like,
yeah, and I wouldn't do
for your fucking opinion.
Obviously, that is one of the reasons. But I'll be honest with you, the biggest one is I just don't want to do it. I'm sorry, if I wasn't gonna do it, I would have done it already. Like, I watched this shit last.
I know week. We know we're not writing this article. We're talking about a hypothetical article.
Yeah.
Oh, and I guess my thing is like the reader doesn't get anything out of it except maybe Schadenfreude.
I mean, maybe not, because that wouldn't be the point of the article. I'm not gonna lie. If a show was a shit show, and I was just going on and that's another thing. I forgot what we were talking about one time. When I was writing a negative review for something, they're like, "Why are you being so negative?" It's like, it's a negative review. I mean, like, it would probably be a different story, but this wouldn't be a negative review. This might be a mostly positive one. I don't think that anyone would read it and get Schadenfreude. Of like,
there's 100% difference between saying like a few people really could have worked on their dancing, and there was a couple people who, but like, there's a difference between saying those words and naming them.
I don't know about that, but
anyway, no one wants to be called out like that. Even if they knew they sucked, they already knew they suck. They're like, I already know I suck. I don't want to be in an article and be called out to suck.
Fun fact, to go on what I said, if I was writing a negative review, I probably wouldn't call out the negative people. I would call out more of the positives, because I feel like they should be highlighted, in light of because at that point, it's like, these people were good, and the implication is everyone else is bad. And I don't know. I'm digging a hole. Let's just move on. Take criticism, people. I'm sorry. Like we live in a society. We live in a society. That's a Joker reference. No, but we live in a society.
Your form of discussion or debate is so strange. When you can't find a way out, you just change subjects and state your point again as if you've won.
Sounds like a deep-rooted problem to me.
No, sounds like you can't take criticism on your journalistic writing practice.
Oh my god. Okay, let's keep arguing about this. I don't care. I can keep arguing until the cows come home. I'm just trying to make this concise. I don't want this to be a fucking DTL.
We're talking about criticism. I thought we were going to talk about what criticism is good and what criticism is bad.
That's a good point. I would like to hear it.
Okay, actually curious. What criticism is good and what criticism is bad?
Okay, are we talking about live performances, or are we talking about these video performances that have been going on? I guess it depends on that.
Actually, thank you for bringing that up. This was my big critique of the whole show probably the one thing that I would critique everyone on, and I've already talked about this with Callie separately. I've talked about Tiffany separately. I talked about everybody separately because I didn't know this until I went back to go watch the archives. I did not know this. This was a huge surprise to me. Nobody was live, and that was such a shock to me.
What do you mean nobody was live?
Like it was all pre-recorded.
It was all pre-recorded. It was all pre-recorded.
Well, yeah. Do you know how much of a logistic shit show it is for people to perform fucking live?
Yeah, unless they were all in the same location.
Do you know how hard that is? Okay, I understand this is all a volunteer thing, but other events do it all the time. I just find it weird that it's like,
what events?
Like,
okay, you brought up a thing that I actually thought is interesting, which I haven't considered, but is different. Manuel suggested that people stream on their own Twitch channels, and then the mainstream just change hosting.
Yeah.
Oh.
Which is interesting, and definitely interesting, but there's still an issue because like there's still going to be extremely awkward minutes probably where the people haven't realized that they're on yet.
That's true. No, it is kind of
it requires a lot of behind the scenes organization. It requires a lot of cues. It requires a lot of like, is so and so ready? Okay, we're cutting them in 3, 2, 1, then you cut to them. You don't just go to them and they're like fixing their hair.
Even with all of that, it's like because I've watched a lot of drag shows where all the numbers are live, and they do it every week. Mm-hmm. And they still can't get it right.
But do you know what I mean? But
it's hard.
It's also part of the medium. This happened like it's part of the way you do it. It's part of the way you have to do it if you want to do it this kind of format. I feel that it's.
I mean, not necessarily. You can pre-record it.
That's so lazy though. I don't know.
Some people want it to be live, and then if you want to watch something like that live, you have to also expect the awkwardness of transition.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I love live shows, and I don't care how much of a shit show they are.
That's what I'm saying. I do too.
Just particularly with the overseas idol community, I think there's a very small percentage who'd be able to actually do it. Not because of their skills, just because of their technical prowess.
Yeah,
but
like at least for drag shows and stuff like that, they have a lot of setup and a lot of stuff.
Sometimes.
Well,
I don't know.
At least those people are actually getting paid to do well.
Yeah. Right now, that is their income, so it makes sense that they put more effort.
To be fair, I think that's two different things. Maybe you could intersperse the live performances with some pre-recorded stuff, but I think the focus should always be on live things. Like, what makes your event special if it's just a collection of pre-recorded videos?
Nothing.
That's what I mean. You see what I mean, though? You see what I mean, though? Like,
I don't care.
Okay.
I mean, like, go watch it.
Yeah, I think people are still
they'll watch it because they're all fucking
it.
a circle jerk bubble. Of course, they'll all watch it. But
but I mean, people they don't have anything to do during quarantine, and this is their way of pretending that they're at an event or something. I mean, even if it's pre-recorded, it's new to them, so it's like watching a premiere of a video or something.
Speaking of which,
why would you go to a premiere?
Speaking of which, there were some videos that already existed before, and I'm not naming anything because I don't want. But there were not. Thank you for bringing that up, Tiffany. It's like, we had this lying around. We're just giving this to you guys, and I'm like, why? Like, that doesn't count. Like, stop.
Having watched a lot of drag shows and seen the same fucking performance 6 times.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah, and like I think most of these people, some people, they're like, I want new content only. They might be watching. But most people, they're just kind of there to watch something, right? If it's good, they like it. They can watch it 5 times. They'll be like, still good though, and they'll still watch it. I mean, it's either that or what are we doing during quarantine? Going out? No, you're not going out, so you have nothing to do. So
I do feel that there are some. I mean, honestly, I haven't really watched many of these idol festivals.
Yeah. You do realize
I've only watched one. And I've seen clips from. I have a question. Have any of the ones y'all have watched have had live hosts? It seems like they don't.
Oh yeah, that's what I wonder too. They just have videos with nothing.
Exactly. That's the other thing. Thank you for bringing that up. It's like there's no live component. Period. At the very least, they could be exactly like you said. At the very least, they could be a
My
host.
show would have a live component.
They would at least be a host. Is like that was a great performance. I mean, that was a great video by so and so.
No, I mean, I
Here's
agree.
the next video.
I think
There's not.
I
There
do
was not a
think you're
single live.
string of videos. That's a little.
Yeah, if they're just gonna have like a collective, then it should be just advertised as that, right? Like, oh, we're just gonna play a string of videos, and it's not gonna be any live component. There's no real streaming other than the only thing that's streamed is the fact that people can comment. They can see each other comment or something.
Yeah.
Now it's funny because like honestly, I don't think I've seen that many in the U.S. But these kind of events are like everywhere in the world because of like the coronavirus. I've seen several like in throughout most not so much Japan. I'm sure there's some in Japan, but I've seen a lot throughout like Southeast Asia. Funny enough, and I've seen one in Europe. Bless you. That were all live. That were all live. I mean, every single component of it was
They have
live.
their shit together, and they probably have a little bit more
They
at
didn't
stake
live.
than
Well, they didn't live together. Trust me.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I think a lot of them had a lot more experience. Like, and I will admit that is the thing, the technical prowess, like you mentioned. A lot of them had experience. Like, oh, we streamed like 3 days a week anyway, and now
well, you're talking. I know exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about those Billy artists who are like who are live streamers.
Yeah, but then they go and they do the festivals
There's
as well.
so much of a difference between those two things.
Yeah, like these idol ones that are happening more like
I mean,
not over there but over here. These people probably don't even stream on a normal basis. They don't know how to stream. They're like they probably don't really own much equipment or anything, and they're just like, oh well, I have to do this now because now I don't have a stage.
for the
so
record,
I'm
I'm not talking like if you watch some of these Billy shows, by the way, I'm not talking about like because there are some that feature like the huge top names. I'm talking about the ones that have like the tiny streamers, the ones who do 3 days a week, but they have 10 followers.
They already have everything set
But
up.
yeah, it's
they know
like
how to stream.
But still,
there's such a huge difference. There's such a huge difference between being a streamer on your as regularly and then doing that same thing but as part of a festival and creating a whole ass setup for one performance.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Some of the people seem to have.
There's literally years of experience between those two things.
To the benefit of some of the performers who did take part in the festival that I'm not mentioning, the U.S. one, not the Billy ones, the one that we've been talking about this whole time. To the benefit of some of them, so I will mention, some of them seem to put together a decent setup for their tape performances. I'll keep saying that because they're not fucking live. And if only they had just done that live, I feel like, from the looks of it,
they couldn't have done that live.
No, from the looks of it, no, from the looks of it. Like, some of them were shooting with their webcam. Some of them were doing like little talked intros at the beginning. They could have done it. It's like I don't know why they just didn't. But then
really
again,
not as simple as you think it is.
I stream
because
so
much. Because then the factor of the internet. What if they have shitty internet at home?
I have shitty internet. You know how many times we've done?
But yeah, but I mean, people complain about the lag, or they'll be like, "Oh, the music is not matching," or something. So you want something that's more polished. I mean, like, see, okay, like, other than this idol stuff, I haven't watched that idol show or whatever. Like, I participate personally in the fandom stream, which is like 3 months ago or 3 months ago, and that also had the thing where we pre-recorded things. There was people that didn't, but that was only singing, and most people, they pre-recorded, we submitted, and then it was obviously pre-recorded. No one said it was live or anything, and we did have like a live host, but I mean, that way we could easily quality control. First of all, quality control, not in a way that like, oh, you suck, we don't want that, but meaning like, if something's wrong with it, or something, that shouldn't be streamed was on it, we can easily monitor that. And also, it just makes it easier for the people that are streaming it, so they don't have to be constantly doing 10 billion things. At least they'll have, like, a lineup of just video files to play, versus, oh, gotta host this person now, gotta host that person now, because no one's really trained to do that. No one was really a streamer like that. So
that actually requires actual training.
Yeah. So
I don't know. It's like it goes back to what I said. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like. Maybe I'm just like.
I feel like you have warped perceptions of the amount of work it takes, because
No, I don't have
you
work
do
perception.
stream and you do. I mean, you stream, but like this, I'll be honest, A to J is the lowest effort.
No, I will say that. No, I will say that. I will say that it really is. But I do other streams that you guys don't know about, and like I know things from all ends, from all like even when I'm not the actual host, even when I'm not the actual like both hosts in terms of doing the actual stream, and the host is in like speaking host. Um, so it honestly depends on how much time you want to put into it, because there are things I do where I do it without any expectation of getting paid either, or I do it knowing that if I get paid, it's going to be a huge loss. Like I could have done something better with my time, like better as in money making. But like, I mean, once again, it goes back to what we said. It's like you just do it. You learn these things. Like what I wanted to continue the podcast, and I had no idea how to stream because like Rose did it for that entire first like year or two. So I just learned, and admittedly, I learned it badly. And like it's low rent, like Callie said. I've never said otherwise. I have crappy internet. I have crappy setup. Most of the shit is done with lots of help from other people, but I still do it. But that's what I mean.
But this is continuous. I mean, but this is you were planning on doing this long term, right? Like you weren't planning for one show and that's it. Most of these people that are doing these idol shows or whatever, they just want to maybe perform once, or they're not expecting
that's
to
even
stay
easier.
in forever to do it. I mean, even if it's the situation now.
Spend a day or two to like learn it and run some tests. It's like I don't.
No, but it's not like that for everyone. Like it's not everyone is just it's a day or two. And also think about it, if it's like 3 people, it might be easier. But what if it's like 30 people? Then think of the nightmare of having to schedule 30 people
at
together.
That point, you have to start limiting things. I will admit, at that point, you can't do it. You can't like. It's unrealistic to want to do a show that big live. I will admit.
Yeah.
At least,
and even if it's like
level,
10 people. Even 10 people, it's hard to. I mean, sure, people don't have real plans right now where they're going out and doing stuff, but people are still busy. Right now, it's a pretty bad time for people in their mental states, too, since some people aren't available certain days. So it's like getting a bunch of these people and then having like a rehearsal or like trying to match up and make sure that everything.
You have to do a rehearsal.
Yeah, you can't just be like, okay, we're gonna do it on the day.
Has FunCon been watching this whole time? No, I just noticed they're like.
I don't know, but they're in the chat.
Oops.
Hi, FunGum. I don't know who FunGum is, but
I think that happened a long time ago. That thing, I just didn't. I had my fucking notification screen down. I haven't been looking.
It was when I was asking about how many of the shows have actual.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was a while back.
Anyways. Well, it's just I wasn't sure who was watching, and I feel self-conscious when I start getting into a crazy rant if anyone's watching live. Yeah, because honestly, it's not even that I care about being confronted live. Confront me live if you want. I just don't like when people confront me live on the Twitch stream, because the chat isn't recorded on screen. So I'm like having a one-sided argument that people can't see outside of the initial.
Just read it out loud.
I know.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. So it's just awkward. Believe me, I have nothing wrong. I have nothing wrong about being confronted, but or being called out. I really don't. I just don't. I just rather not have it look like a weird one-sided argument, because I mildly value presentation, and I mean mildly and very mildly. But
okay, that's too. Okay, that's enough.
Let's move on.
Where's this going?
I was just saying, I checked the chat because I was nervous that I don't want to get argued at live. Anyways, not by FunGum.
No one's arguing because no one's here. I mean, there's a few people here, but
yeah.
It did drop to 0 at one point, so I think we do have like 4 or 5 viewers right now. But anyway, I don't know if Tiffany's actually watching, because Tiffany shouldn't count, but I don't think me and what's her face count, Callie. I definitely don't.
I'm watching, so I probably count.
Yeah, because I think I don't know if you stopped for a while, but I saw it literally go to 0, which is funny because when it goes to 0, I'm like, how is that happening? Like I've never I guess it can literally count on one hand the times we've had 0 viewers, and one of them was tonight. But anyway, that I've noticed, I should say, to be more accurate. I think that's pretty much it. The last thing I was going to say, and I think we just get to this real fast, was the idea of community. And I feel this too big of a move to like make this giant kumbaya type like idol family, which I don't think really works. Because first of all, you don't see that anywhere else in the world, like in the scenes anywhere. Like you see it with little collectives, which is the way I think it should be. You'll see it with like little pockets, but like there's been more than one legitimate attempt to like catalog everyone, which by the way is the most ridiculous concept ever. Not because cataloging everyone, but a lot of these groups and even like individual people, but the groups especially, are so ever fluctuating. Like unless it's a wiki thing that everyone can edit, there's no way that like the second you write it, it'll be out of date. Like you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would say it's a little strange to write a wiki for this community. But at the same time, there are much stranger and broader
Wikis.
And I mean, like, there's YouTuber wikis, and is there not 30 billion YouTubers in the world?
I'm gonna write the A to J wiki.
So
I'm just kidding, but
sure, do it.
Yeah. I mean, communities are always fun to have, and this community that they're trying to make is like a little bit different from if idols in Japan or something were making it, because obviously they're not there just to have fun. They're mostly there because they're hired by companies and stuff, so it's very different, you know, versus here where I don't know if I say we, because, well, I'm like included in the community, but I don't say I'm an idol, so, I mean, the community as a whole is more like, hey, we're doing these things mostly for fun, and what have you been doing? Or, I mean, that's how I hope it'll be run and not be like, you know, toxic. But communities could be all over the place. I mean, I run another community which is mainly K-pop, and that can have its share of like cattiness and who's allowed in it, or like
no JPop.
How do we filter quality? Or no, it's not that, but I mean like stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what we're talking about, is dealing with, which is interesting. And I don't know, I like my initial reaction is like that feels kind of gatekeepy, but at the same time I guess like I don't know, I have complex feelings about it.
Yeah, I get it.
Well, like
at
Tiffany...
what point does it become like you're just organizing versus you're gatekeeping, you know? Like
yes, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I don't know.
Because you don't want like a mess. You don't want it to be a mess to the point that the people in the community hate being there because it's such a mess. But you don't want
being there.
Yeah, you don't want it to be so organized that people are like they don't feel included, or you know, like now you're being so strict and you're filtering out people, and then it's a friendly community, not really, you know. So
yeah, it's difficult. It's definitely a difficult.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's, like you said, it's the whole argument is organizing versus gatekeeping. I'm not gonna lie, I forgot what you said, and I wish I'd like, I yawned there, my brain died. I heard everything you said.
I mean, that was, you got the gist in a phrase.
No, at some point, Tiffany mentioned like that she, checking for quality. I think it's the word she used, and I'm like, isn't that exactly what you argued against when I said earlier about like, about
quality?
Doing...
I think quality is defined differently depending on, I don't know what people define as quality. Like, I've come to the point, I've performed with so many places and so many people that I am so jaded that as long as you're not running around naked or being racist or shadow friendly or being like that kind of thing, and you look like you're having fun, then it's fine, as long as, I mean, in terms of video stuff, the only thing that I would try to define as someone that's organizing like quality is like having a decent quality, like video quality, like literal just video quality, or having
Tiffany agrees with me.
or like making sure that your room is not, hard to, it's like, I don't know, stuff like that, like your background is not like super messy.
Distracting.
Yeah. And of course, like just enough that you can be seen. Like
it's hilarious because I don't think Tiffany. I think by Tiffany's own admission, she didn't watch any of the things that I mentioned earlier, and
It was these problems.
Exactly, and I'm not gonna name them because that's what What's Your Face got in trouble with last week. But
I think that there's a
described
completely different thing between critiquing something that's extremely fixable, like, hey, you should have propped your camera up a little bit more.
Yeah.
and like, okay, I really do, and like someone's dancing. I feel like those are so completely different.
But people were defending the other. People were defending that.
You just need to be told once.
But you see what I mean?
And then you can fix it.
People were defending the messy rooms and the cameras.
I genuinely don't think that there would, like, sure, maybe the person that you said that about might get huffy about it, but other people wouldn't, like, unless you were mean about it, other people wouldn't, like, rally around them being like, how dare you tell them to clean their room.
That actually happened. I don't think you read all the, I read a lot of shit because I was really bored the day it went down. I read a lot of it.
Manuel, apparently the stream's frozen.
Oh, I mean, if it was like, okay, well, that's bearable, and that's fine. You don't need to critique them on about clean their room, and it's like, at that level, it's fine. But what if they're like, obviously, like, their clothes all over the place, and you see, like, a pile of trash, and all you can look at is their trash, then, yeah, you could be like, you know, like, everything else is good, please just, you know, maybe clean up your room, because now I can't concentrate on dancing because I'm looking at the pile of clothes that you have there or something, you know? Like, I think that's normal.
I think that something that you can fix after just being told it is a perfectly fine thing to critique.
Yeah, all they have to do is move the trash a little.
Don't ever clean it, just get it off screen.
Cross over there, you won't be able to see it anymore.
There's a pile of shit over here.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna restart real fast.
Okay.
Well, it was still a lot. We still keep talking because I'm just restarting for actual Twitch. Because
I think that generally speaking, people use that rule for life. You know, I think that I've heard like, if a person can't fix it in 5 minutes, don't comment on it.
But I was
as far as appearance and shit like that.
I don't know if you applied to it already. Sorry, I was just. Oh wait, that's a delay. Okay, it's coming back. It should be coming back. It'll come back. Obviously, there's like a 90-second delay, like always. So you're hearing this. We're live. Anyways, it just won't show up in the chat yet. I don't know if you already answered that, Callie, but I was saying earlier that people did rally behind that. That actually, it was something that happened. I don't know if you said anything to that. That legitimately happened. That legit happened.
Yeah, at that point, you're like, I mean, I don't know what to say about that.
If you're like, how dare you tell her to change the camera angle?
I'm not making this up. See, I shouldn't say this, but I will.
I'll be honest, Manuel. I didn't see it. I would actually like you to send me the backlash if you can find it.
Because, we'll have a little meeting afterwards.
We'll have a whole meeting afterwards. But I can definitely see people being upset in the way that critique is delivered. But besides like one or two people, I can't imagine that it was that big of a backlash.
And if so, then it must have been delivered really poorly. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like, I mean, I don't know the actual example, but if it's like trash in the room, like, wow, your room is filthy or something, like everything's filthy about this or something, I don't know, like it has to be something that really offended someone and other people like, wow, that's really offensive or something, I don't know.
I think that the majority of people generally are reasonable, although to be fair, unreasonable people tend to be also very loud, so there's that too.
Oh my god.
What
now?
I just noticed I've been running like all my torrents and shit in the background.
God damn it, man.
I mean, like,
good to know.
I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying. I mean, it does matter. I just stopped them, but like that, I could have saved like a lot of the night if I would have noticed that a long time ago. It's probably little stream issues that we never saw. It's probably skipping the whole way. We're supposedly live, but let me close Twitch and open it again. We're almost done anyway, but I don't want to like end it until we get it back. Yeah, it says we're not live. Go figure. Oh yeah, we are. Are we actually there? It's gonna just load forever. Oh, we're there. We're live. Okay. I can't tell how far back we are, but there we go. And it says 0. Anyway, but we're live.
All right.
Whatever.
Doesn't matter. I'm so laughing.
Also, overseas idols tend to be pretty young. I mean, idols in general tend to be really young. So I can see people.
Oh yeah, I'll send you some screens later. I think I don't really have screens, but unfortunately, I will admit that they cut out all the specific parts of some. Okay, let me say this. Some of it doesn't exist today. I don't want to name names. I almost named this on accident. Some parts of this argument don't because they actually took out the specific calling out of people's feedbacks. Wait, that's not a word. They took out.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So a lot of these arguments that I'm trying to call people out on, not call people out on the argument. Okay, there are some parts of the argument I don't agree with, but like Callie said, if you can fix it real fast, and that's you should. I mean, I'm sorry, like that's just a simple presentation thing.
But you shouldn't bring up. It's one thing if it's like you're actually just talking about generally like a show or you're talking to the person, but like if you months later just randomly bring up someone and say this is how you do it wrong, like
Oh yeah. You know, it's really all about how you're talking about it. I guess I can't really say anything specifically, even though I don't know the super specifics. I think I know why maybe people are pissed because it was like not brought up. It was like later on, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's the truth. I'm not really sure if that's the same situation.
I haven't watched the whole thing either, so
to be honest, there's a lot of reasons why, and most of them, I will admit that I could see a lot of the arguments against that whole stuff that happened last week, which is why this was never ever going to be like a defense of it, or don't misquote me if that's what you think I'm doing. By the way, anyone.
Criticism is good, but there's a way to do it, and don't be mean, and don't make people feel super terrible.
I want to be.
Honestly, I don't really get like. The only thing you get out of being mean to people is superiority, but
exactly.
or like a sense of superiority. But like, it's not gonna get you anywhere.
I wouldn't be like
it's gonna actively hold you back in life.
I wouldn't be like clean up your room, you slob. I'd be like, hey, can you redo this again? But like, pull that stuff, like put it behind the camera, like kick it in the corner, or like. There's stuff that it was like literally that is like. I'm not even saying pick it up. Like literally kick it in the other corner. Kick it in front of you because you're dancing this way.
Make it not visible. Yeah. It's all good. Just
you can put it back. You can put it back the second it's done. If like that's your corner or something, you could do that. You can put it right back, or film the other direction unless it's just as bad. I don't know, but
it goes up against the wall.
Yeah,
getting too specific.
Yeah. Anyway. I think that was the last point about community. What's the thing? Ever changing? Maybe. Yeah. Whatever. But that's what I was saying. I don't think there should be a move to centralize it, and I think that's the biggest mistake. That why you get issues like this.
I mean, it's just. Okay, so I get that, but I also see the argument of like. There are people who want to create original content in a J-pop idol style, and those people would like to talk to each other and like be able to collaborate. And then I do perfectly see like, oh, all these people who have nothing to do with that purpose are now in this thing taking up space. I fully see that.
That's what I was going to say. That's exactly what I was saying.
Like I said, I have complicated feelings about that concept.
We literally just spent half of this thing discussing how there's a whole... It's probably the majority, honestly. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's honestly probably the majority who don't want that. Who are just trying to do it for fun. Who aren't aspiring to do anything like that.
I mean, it doesn't... But I don't think you need to be professional to want to collaborate with people.
I'm not saying that really either, but what I'm trying to say is that, like... There's probably there are better places to do that. By the way, I'm not going to name some of the other groups, but like obviously the groups know them. They're not like totally secret. Also, I will say that like There's been talk about like, oh, let's catalog, the producers and whatever and all those people, but a lot of them,
that's all. That's all. I don't know.
and the musicians, but a lot of those are just as elusive as like, not elusive, but just as like ever changing as the idols themselves. And then, honestly, that's a whole other can of worms. I want to get into that, but that's basically it. That's basically the long and short of it. It's a whole other can of worms, and they probably shouldn't all be like organized together. It's just a mess. It's just a mess. I don't think they should. And the
Just
thing,
keep it all loose or whatever. If you want to filter, then do a different thing. If
Like-
you don't want to and you want to keep it open, just keep it open without.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. If it's like if you want a specific thing, you have to be very specific about it. And
Yeah.
if you are gonna let it open to everyone, you're just gonna have to let that happen.
it is so hot.
It's
Anyway,
too late.
Yeah.
I guess that's about it. It's funny because we already talked about gatekeeping. We already talked about that. The overseas idols, hobby or more idol stuff. Did we talk about this? Yeah, we talked about everything. It's funny because in the notes I'm like, hey,
If anything, there should be more of a focus. If anything, we should move to more of a focus on like personality-driven content. But there's so much focus on singing and dancing. I guess that's the idea, is like the music. But like,
I'm not saying this.
There's not enough of focus on personality stuff.
Is there? Gosh, I shouldn't say this at all. I'm not going to say it at all. Never mind.
Don't say it.
Because I don't think there's a polite way.
don't say it.
I can't think of a polite way to say it. I'll tell you guys later after we're done with this. But my
Okay.
point is, I can see I can see why that might be an issue for some people. But moving on.
Personality-driven content.
Yeah.
Not having a personality.
No, that's not what I mean at all. She just didn't want to say it. No, I have to say it. You made me sound like that's what I meant. That's not what I meant at all. I mean, some people aren't exactly the
Bubbly.
the outward, yeah, like not so much
Yeah.
bubbly, but they're not the
Outgoing.
the outgoing type. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with that, but some
That's fair.
so like
I mean, that's the same as Japanese idols. Not
Exactly.
everyone's great at talking and being. That's why there's
but
idols
for
that
some reason,
only perform.
but for some reason, and I think it's a cultural thing, and like I'm not going to go into like the whole thing about like the Japanese fandom because that's a whole other can of worms, obviously. But I think culturally, it can almost be like a charm point, almost like another like part of a personality to like not be able to like do that. To almost be like, oh my god, look at her, and like they're trying, and like by trying, they're probably
Oh, they're really shy or whatever. They're just really bad.
and you don't really. I don't think that
I can
really.
see that.
I don't think that really exists.
I mean,
here. Like,
I'm not that kind of fan.
Yeah, but that's what
I
I'm saying,
don't
like,
think most Western people are.
exactly. That's exactly what I mean. I'm pretty sure if we saw it,
it's just the difference between the fans.
if we saw it here, it'd end up in a cringe
Yeah.
compilation. I'm not saying like not saying that's
Yeah.
right, but I'm saying it would end up on one.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't do it. Like, don't do either of that. Don't do that. End up in a cringe compilation, and don't fucking make a cringe compilation. I do watch.
Don't you dare end up in a cringe compilation.
Don't
Don't
be
do
in it.
Don't make one. Don't do either parts of that. I do watch a lot of fail compilations. They're amazing. I sit there when I'm really like trying to go to sleep, and I'll watch like hours of them, wasting my
okay.
life.
Sleep?
Wasting my life. But anyway, on that note, let's wrap this up. Overseas idols, all that nonsense. If anyone has any complaints, send them to Callie, care of A2JConnections.com, and I will make sure she gets each and every one of your hate letters. So yeah, do that, please. Anyway,
I honestly would like a world where the vast majority of people are happy. That's all I strive for.
You damn.
Honestly, I'll be
bleeding heart,
perfectly
like-
honest. This is something I've only realized in the last few days as we've been talking about the overseas idol thing. I don't feel cringe anymore. It's something about the pandemic has completely taken it out of me. I only care about people having positive lives and positive experiences, and I have absolutely no room in my life for negativity anymore. Absolutely zero.
Good God.
This much of a fuse now, so
It's funny.
that's my life now. That's the perspective I'm coming from.
Everyone go go watch next week. We're starting a new podcast again called the Offshore Podcast. We're gonna just pretend we're like associated with overseas idol community and.
Oh my
Oh my god,
god,
that
let's
would
not.
be such a shit show.
No, fun fact.
Let's not.
Actually, I went
Oh my
on
God.
I went on the OIC YouTube, which I had admin access to because I would upload the podcast, and like I saw the
Okay.
last 2 episodes were just sitting up there, like waiting to be published. They were just sitting there, and like I didn't feel the need to publish them, so I just took all the info that was like there, and then like I didn't have to. I uploaded it, so I didn't need to like keep it, and I just deleted them. I was like, I'm just gonna upload this to A to J now.
Oh my god.
We never had an official thing, so everyone wants to watch lost episodes of that podcast. I'm gonna put them up soon. Randomly, whenever we miss a UPZ, I'm gonna put them up, and those are real lost
You're
episodes.
asking for a can of worms to be opened.
I mean, what's
Yep.
gonna happen? Like, there's the OIC name, but like Konaru did the logos and like and all the we even had a
My
mascot.
God.
I don't know. What's the point of putting up shit like
Okay,
that?
well, let's wrap it up.
Now let's wrap it up.
I have to pee for this past hour.
Yeah, I have to
I've been
pee
waiting,
too.
so let's
So
wrap it up.
it's CCP. It's CCP time. It's a CCP time.
I don't know what that means.
The CCP is the Chinese Communist Party, and it's a running joke with Manuel that like. And yes, I didn't mean to call myself a good person. Callie's just fucking done with me. Anyway.
Okay, well, that was the podcast, y'all. Did you guys enjoy that?
Let's go with
Great,
Tiffany.
huh?
Okay. This Saturday, DTL. Tune in. It'll be all us plus. I mean, minus Molly plus Rachel. Maybe plus Sylvia
Tiffany
too.
gonna be on it?
No.
No. I
Okay,
said
I
Rachel.
like, huh?
And then maybe
I
plus
know, but you
Sylvia.
said all of us, which I would.
Yeah.
Oh, I meant all of us as in the normal DTL
All of
people.
the normal DTL people,
Oh,
I guess.
gotcha.
Yeah.
We somehow have a normal cast for that, which I never intended, but it happened. Which I guess is fine by me because I don't have to find like half dozen people every week. Callie, what's new with Callie? Nothing. Callie lives a boring life.
No, nothing to talk about right now.
Okay, I called you Ruby, because Tiffany.
What? Okay.
I called you Ruby as in like the not anime Ruby, because
Okay.
Ruby's
I have
trash.
to pee. Hurry up.
What's
Hurry
new
up.
with you? I'm just wrapping this up. It's the last bit.
Oh my god. What?
What are you doing next? Do you have any K-pop shit coming up?
Oh my.
You should do a new dance cover.
No, I'm not really. I'm really just doing nothing
Oh.
because I have no motivation to do anything.
That's a
So
move.
You like that?
nothing really coming up for me other than the fact that I'm living, barely. Yep.
Okay, well that's it. Support our Patreon, patreon.com/strategic connections. You can help us out there. Little as $1, and you can support us with like that. If you want to support us at higher tiers, you can even get things like a checkie of Callie, or a ton of checkies of Tiffany, which I still have a lot of, including some really old retro
God.
ones,
Those fools.
and a lot of signed ones. But you can get a checkie of Callie too. I'll throw that Callie checkie in the feed of Tiffany, but if you can't do that, just like, comment, subscribe. If you can't do that, just keep watching our shit. Best way to support us. Easiest way to support us.
Yeah.
Shout out to Anakin, the current patrons. Tune in Saturday for our DTL at 6 p.m. Also, next Tuesday at 6 p.m., we are also bringing back Ultra Podcast Z, obviously. It's our normal time and date. Konaru might be on normally. To be honest, another reason she wasn't on this week because she's trying to finish up her VTuber thingy. So maybe that'll be around on Tuesday. Keep an eye out.
VTuber's so cute.
Yeah, if not, then if not, UPZ will still happen. I just don't know exactly, like, host wise and topic wise. I have some topic ideas, but just keep an eye out on our social media. We'll have more on that. Or more accurately, if you just watch the Twitch channel, I will have it updated after each show. So like as soon as we're done here, I'm going to update it for DTL and so on. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. And that's pretty much it. Thank you all for watching. Once again, these opinions are just ours, and most of it probably came out worded, at least especially for me, worded a little oddly because we are live, and Illuminati hot takes can also be a little too hot takey sometimes. And yeah, everyone go be an idol. Good night. Peace out. Thank you all in the chat for being there. And Matt, who fucking edited Manuel? CCPP.
It's not
Anyway.
edited. That's what it's always been.
Anyway, good night, all. Peace. Good night.
Bye bye.